Welcome back, Keepers, to Keepers of the Fire.
On this episode, we sit down with brothers Jake and Conor Lawler, talk about the evolution of their brotherhood and friendship, and their passion for film and movies.
We thought what would be fun to do is to have them, Conor and Jake, recommend a movie to me and Eman to watch, and then us, in return, recommend a movie for them to watch.
The first of which was a recommendation by Journey and myself to Conor and Jake. It is a film called Border, 2018 Swedish film directed by Ali Abbasi.
And the movie that Jake and Conor recommended for me and Eman is called A Matter of Life and Death, made in 1946 by Pressburger and Powell, known as The Archers.
So if you haven't seen these movies, spoiler alert, but if you have seen them, then you'd really enjoy the dissecting of the plots and themes throughout both of them.
Even if you haven't seen these movies, you're still going to have a lot of fun listening to this podcast. We get into a lot of good stuff, and we have fun. They're really smart guys.
Speaking of smart guys, Jake Lawler is a former football player from the University of North Carolina. He was a D1 linebacker turned screenwriter. He's from Charlotte. He was named a 2021 Minority Report Fellow for his television pilot screenplay, Martin Clay. He was also a staff writer on the crossover for Disney+.
Conor Lawler is becoming one of my favorite humans. He's Jake's younger brother, also from Charlotte, North Carolina, and he recently graduated from the University of North Carolina School of the Arts with a BFA in film directing.
So, as you can see from their incredible bios, they are cool, but not as cool as us.
No way.
So you can listen to them, blab on until it's our spots, and we're funny. And then you laugh at our spots.
David, I think when we post the podcast, can we have annotations so people can skip ahead to when me and Eman talk?
Yeah, we'll definitely do that. I'm just kidding, David. We're just kidding. David, okay, no, we're just kidding. I'm gonna say the ending part, which is like, so enjoy episode 2. You know what, keepers. That's enough talking. Enjoy episode 2, Keepers of the Fire. Okay, fellas, shall we release?
Oh, yeah.
Would you like to start, Journey?
Yeah, I guess so. I'm going to start with I release rushing, because sometimes I just notice I'm rushing, and then I feel like panicked in my head. But usually when I calm down and think about it, like there's actually no reason to feel rushed, even if despite the circumstances, you know what I mean? So I'm trying to be more mindful and not feel that way.
Nice.
And then what I'm calling in.
We're going to do all the releases first, and then we're going to do calling in after Palisante.
Sure thing, we're right after this.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, nice try, though.
Don't rush. You're supposed to be releasing.
So now you're supposed to be releasing rushing. Don't rush this thing.
The paper hasn't burnt yet.
Turns out it
hasn't sank in.
Anyway, now we have a
drop it on the
tone
fire.
not rushing.
Yeah, it's not going to burn.
Yeah.
You have a stick. You can throw. No, that's good though, because it's not rushing.
No, it's still not.
It's not
still
rushing the
burning.
fire. It's taking its time.
I would, but I don't want to rush it.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? So I'm just going to let it sit there.
that's really powerful.
I'm learning.
I'm releasing anxiety and cynicism, as you all know. I think I have a moderate amount of anxiety and then certainly an insane amount of cynicism. So
Those are my favorite parts of you.
Oh, brother. No.
Not after tonight. It's all gone. So
No more cynicism.
no more at least no more
Jake's gonna be
cynicism.
rainbow and sunshine from here on out. This is sick.
That was a perfect.
What can I say?
That's going.
I already feel better. I already feel more relaxed, more optimistic.
Wow.
Yeah.
I am releasing doubt in my path, both in the sense of like the steps I have been taking and where I think those might take me. So not just what's ahead of me, but also in the period of transition I've been in, the steps I've already taken on the way to wherever I'm going.
Beautiful.
Beautiful.
Not great, but.
Oh, this is okay. It's your
Sorry,
first
what was
time.
that? That sounded like cynicism.
I'm releasing avoidant tendencies. I feel like when I get highly stressed, the thing I immediately start to do is like answer less messages,
Yeah.
almost like decline in productivity and like avoid doing certain things because I feel almost afraid to finally do them. And then once I do them, I'm like, oh, that took I could have done that so long ago. I was like making what's that phrase? A mountain out of a molehill?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of some tiny thing, because I was avoiding it, like a conversation
Right.
or a boundary set or anything
Sure.
like that. So I'm releasing any of the avoidance.
Nice.
And then,
So are we doing this snake draft style or?
Pronto to clear it.
Are we releasing at the end, or are we releasing?
That's like you start now. You do what you're bringing in.
Or are we doing releasing at the end?
I think that's a great idea. I think maybe I start now. What do you think?
Yeah,
It's just
That's
an
what I was
idea.
saying.
I
Like,
have.
go
you
back
do you.
around.
That's
that
snake
way.
draft.
You guys think so?
That's snake draft, actually.
We should end on the best
They
one.
should call it something that reminds people of what the order is. Something like the lizard tails draft or something.
That's close enough.
Lizard
Yeah.
tail circle.
Yeah,
Dragon
we're gonna
tail.
submit that to the committee.
To the suggestions box that we have right there.
We should have a suggestion box.
Yeah.
That's actually a good idea.
That's a great suggestion. If only we had a box to put
Why you just shut up? Keep your opinion to yourself.
I guess you might as well burn that up.
It's not gonna happen now.
Yeah, okay. I'm calling in more social serendipity and clear communication. I feel like putting myself in social situations, nice job, more often
Big stoker.
to give the universe a chance to, sorry,
What about the human
being stalker.
My bad.
being in more social situations to give the
Wow.
universe more chances to surprise me with like
Yeah.
meeting a new collaborator or friend or
A new
Saying
Amsterdam.
yes.
new Amsterdamer.
Yeah.
Saying yes.
Yeah, saying yes.
Beautiful.
Calling that in.
I am bringing in trust in where I'm at right now. It kind of feels a bit like an inverse of what I was letting go, but I think it is. I think it's both like trust in where I'm at, but also trust in my works and my ability.
Yeah.
The things I've done and I have that I can look back and be like, okay, you know, like I actually feel good about what I did there. You know, I feel good about where I'm at now.
Yeah.
So even though it's like an inverse of what I'm giving away, you know, maybe that's also a lesson to like not just let something go, but also find the replacement for it.
Well, it's
Maybe even call something in.
there, yeah. Well, now you have both sides of the coin
Maybe
covered,
even
you know,
call
so it's
something
like you have the full coin.
Nice.
Nice.
Yeah.
I am calling in opportunity and optimism. Optimism, I think, is pretty self-explanatory. It's
That's what I love
the
to hear.
diametric opposition to the usual state that I live in. So I would love to be a part of that situation.
You know, one thing I will say, I feel like the constant awareness of a previous state,
Yeah.
like, oh, my normal state is this, as previous, I think I've talked to you about this, as a past tense thing, helps you actually delineate from
Oh, absolutely.
that, right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
You sent me an Instagram reel about it.
did I really?
Yeah.
Did I really? Oh, that's right.
Right
That
next
guy
to
in
the
your
guy
head, that's like
lifting.
we talked about it.
I think I see the 5 things to fix about your form.
I think I taught this philosophy to you, but share it with Jake now.
But yeah, I mean, you know, it is like weirdly. I mean, obviously, I think that we have our own connotations about liminal states, but like, you know, it is kind of like that space between.
Sure.
And you know, I think I am making progress to get to the other side, so I'd love to call that in faster. And then opportunity is obviously, you know, I think, and I'm sure we'll get into this a little bit, but you know, this has been a great year of opportunity for me in terms of my work, and I would like that to continue because I feel like when it's gotten to the point where I've needed it to get to, I've taken advantage of it. But also just opportunity to travel, opportunity to like learn, opportunity to do more things, and embark on new things that I'm proud of and want to continue to be proud of. And the opportunity to fail, I think, like, I'm sure we'll get into that a little bit more too, but I think failure is incredibly important. And you don't have success without failure, and you don't have either without opportunity. So
Yeah. Nice.
That's one of my favorite quotes.
I came up with it. So.
Oh, that's you, dude. I've always
What can I
thought it was
say?
an unknown.
I'm
You know,
fucking Nostradamus
comes out
out
on
here.
Instagram.
You're just kind of
and
sweating right now because you're his hero.
That got me.
You're a
dude.
really big guest for
I'm
him.
Sub-Zero
I've
here.
been trying to get you on the show for
For a long time.
He was,
You were the
as soon
first
as we
guest.
conceptualized this, I was like, we need to get Jake on, dude.
Yeah.
And then once Connor came, I was like, say
Yeah,
less.
it's like Marcus Aurelius and then me, just right below.
Pretty much,
Yeah.
yeah. You're like the living Marcus Aurelius. You're like Seneca, dude, and Marcus Aurelius. A little nothing to one with a little Spartacus, dude. You know, I just thought of this on the spot. It's I think it's very straightforward and something we can all relate to. I call in flowers. because I used to have flowers in my apartment all the time. You know, it was just like one of the things I'd get when I'd go to the grocery store. But ever since I moved, there was like so many other like additional expenses. I was like, I don't have time for flowers right now.
Oh, wow.
You know, and then like, you know, you're like, okay, I'll get flowers next week, you know, but then that week comes and goes, and like you still have flowers, and before you know it, it's been 5 months.
Yeah.
You've been in this new apartment without
that's
flowers.
cool.
5 months?
5 months,
no
months.
flowers.
You used
Dude.
to have flowers every day in your place.
I used to have them every day. That's why I decided to do this podcast, because of the flowers in this,
Yeah.
you know, around
That's
us
the
right
only
now.
reason why I decided, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The fire's kind of like
Keeper
your
of
flowers.
the flowers.
Keeper of the flowers. Same acronym.
I was
We'll
actually,
spin that off.
Let's get that website.
Yeah.
I was actually hoping I could take some flowers home with me tonight, if that's okay.
Yeah, can we buy that domain real quick?
Let's go to GoDaddy.com.
Yeah, that's so
Register it.
So,
Do you want to do some introductions, Journey? You want to take us away?
do I?
Do a little welcome back.
Hey everybody, welcome to Keepers of the Fire. This is your host, Journey Bailey, and sitting across from me, of course, is my good friend.
And co-host, Eman Esfandi.
And who do we have today?
Who do we have today?
Dude, who do we have
exactly.
today? Okay, imagine if you had the chance to interview
Yeah.
Steven Spielberg.
Yep. And his little brother.
In their mid-20s, dude. You know what I mean? They're still like, dude. Because they, you know what I mean? Like, even better than that. Because they're even past, you know, where someone like that would have been in their 20s. And the fact that
That's
we
true.
have them here today is such an honor. And
Very
the fact
special
that we
guests.
work out with these two guys
Yeah.
is perhaps the most. We've seen the work ethic behind these two gentlemen. You know
The
what I mean?
speed.
Dude, it's not just all looks. These two show up. They're putting in
Strength,
the
too.
work. They're fucking. They're the first ones there. The last ones
Last one's to leave, dude.
Dude, they always find parking on time.
They're on time.
And they're there waiting for us. And it's
Water
just,
ready.
And I feel like now they're gonna do like the podcast version of that. You know, because I know like as strong as their bodies are, like their minds are even stronger.
Even
so,
stronger.
Yeah.
I couldn't have said it better. It is so good
I
to
know you
have
can,
Jake Lawler and Conor Lawler, the Lawler brothers, on. Thank you guys for being here.
So
Thanks
how do you
for
guys
having
want the money for that endorsement? Like, do you want to do
So
that?
yeah, no, we
it's on the
take
house this
we
time.
take
Okay.
cash normally,
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
but
Do
like
a
you
money
said,
order or something.
on the house is
Yeah.
fine this time.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Something Journey and I should have discussed, but that's fine.
It's
On the
just
house is
if you
fine.
want to use the clip
On
of
the
that
house
on
is
your
fine.
social
Figure out
media,
how to
then you owe
monetize.
us.
Yeah, we got it.
the endorsements of people.
We give royalties on your career forever if you use a clip. of that.
If a clip goes viral and
Then we'll come
creates
back around.
your career,
Yeah. We're gonna
It's-
win that in court all day.
we're your
dude.
managers.
For sure.
Right as
your
soon as that clip
publicists.
came out, yeah.
We're your lawyers.
We're everything.
Wow.
Yep.
This is all encompassing.
Yeah, it's like
we
a
signed
multi-
360. Get it on
It's like
this
we're moving
fucking
into this multi-hyphenate
Yeah.
generation
Yeah.
where you could be a little bit of everything,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Some people are rappers and writers and directors. We're lawyers and managers and agents and
Nice.
We're
Wow.
the
overseers of the
A
estates.
multi-hyphenate boring stuff.
We're the childish. Whoa, dude, chill. We're the
Okay.
childish Gambinos of office jobs, dude.
Tyler, the creators of
chill, dude.
Office
We're
Jobs.
Bo Jackson of Suits, man.
But both of you are writers and directors. Connor, you just finished film school,
Yes,
correct?
I did.
Where did you end up finishing film school?
I went to the University of North Carolina School of the Arts.
That's right.
And I graduated in May. Class
Congratulations.
Of 2024. Thank you.
Congratulations, man.
Thank you.
It's nice to have
There
you.
go, dude.
And Jake, you didn't go to film school.
Didn't go to
No.
film school.
No.
Wow.
But you are a writer and a filmmaker. And how did that happen? How did you end up becoming a writer and a filmmaker?
Should we wait for the helo?
Yeah. That's not so bad.
Good.
David approved.
Yeah, I mean it's an interesting path for me. I think for both of us, and really all of us. I think to get to where we are. First of all, I'm very grateful for the chance to be on here.
You're so welcome.
Grateful for the endorsement as well. We'll
Of
be sure to
course.
share that on our socials. But we are, we're both from Charlotte, North Carolina, and then me
Shout out
specifically,
Shout
I
out
think
Charlotte. Shout out to 4.
shout out to four, shout out to
Yeah.
four. Of
Shout out
course.
UNC.
But I think we had always loved movies, our whole life. But
yeah.
Connor and I used to joke that movies would go to,
That's such
how
a
we
sign,
would-
bro. You know
I'm
that's a
telling you, I
sign,
think
bro.
we gotta wait.
No, but you know that's a sign.
Oh yeah,
For you,
That
dog.
is a sign.
Absolutely. There we
Yeah.
go.
As soon as you
Yeah.
start
Speaking of
talking, a fucking
movies,
helicopter comes
Come
up
on.
overhead.
That's good shit.
And I don't know, how many details I can share about that. I don't think any.
Yeah.
Right.
But we know.
But we
Yeah.
know,
We all-
and that's
we
a
all
good
know.
sign for something
And then when
in
it
film.
does happen, we can come back to
That's
this moment.
right.
And this
That's
will be
right.
promo
Yo, you can clip
for
this.
that.
We should all look at the camera right now. The one in the center on
Yeah.
3. 1, 2, 3.
Go see it.
Go watch it.
It's coming soon to a theater
Coming
near
soon.
you.
Blockbuster.
Coming to all streaming services.
But yeah, Connor and I would always joke that like movies would go to Mars and come back as movies, right? Like we had no
Yeah,
idea.
yeah.
Like I didn't know what a director was until college, right? Like,
When
didn't
I
know
was
what a
applying to
writer was,
college, I
too.
looked up what does a director do.
Yeah.
There was no idea now.
Because
still
there was
trying to figure it
there was
out.
no infrastructure really
Yeah,
for
I get that.
Charlotte it had its moment. It came and went before the the political party decided to axe the film credits there. But what Atlanta really has become was going to be Charlotte, and we were growing up in that. Our mother's an actor, and she was sort of like in that space as well, like a local actor in Charlotte. And prior to that, she was on Broadway and doing all these great things. But so we were familiar with the business. Our father was a talent agent as well for Broadway actors and things like that. And
He was a talent agent?
in the
Yeah,
90s
for like
in New
a
York.
decade.
Yeah.
Whoa.
And he was a
And,
producer for a while too.
I
Did a
could
few
tell by
things,
the way
yeah.
he ran up that hill.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I can see it in him.
Those
dude.
things are inexorably linked always.
I can see he has a tiger. dude.
But Connor and I, we were very separate in our lives for a long time.
For sure.
For a myriad of reasons, most of which I take the blame for.
But also it was very like obvious and boring. It was very just like the way brothers.
It's classic brother
are
things.
distant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
nothing special about the distance, but it was distant.
Wow, they're looking for someone.
Yeah.
But I do think that's a good sign
I
for
think
you.
so too. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, like movies had been our thing, but we had kind of grown up separately and did our own things, and then for a long time I was sort of inundated in a different lifestyle, one that involved high speeds in high school for quite some time, and then kind of moving from that. I also played football in college, and that's where I went to Chapel Hill. And
Come on.
forever grateful for that experience, but I think the movie business in particular was something that kind of continued to elude me for a long time, and then I think we both discovered that there was an actual path concurrently.
Yeah.
Really?
While Connor
In
was in high
separate
school.
places. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, and we didn't do it.
I maintain
without
though that I
talking.
liked movies first. It was like
I don't think that's true because I'm 3 years older.
I swear.
Physically cannot be
Like,
true. I think that you discovered
a few days before.
older, like I
saw was them like-
I definitely liked them by the time you were born. So
I
it's
think,
actually
I
impossible.
think that Connor figured out that there was a path before I did. 100%.
But it was very close. It was very
Absolutely.
close, and it was very
Absolutely.
weird because we were like 300 miles apart.
Yeah.
And I think Jake was like writing short stories at the time.
Wait, because he was in college already?
He was in college
I was already-
already.
I was
He
at
was a
Chapel Hill.
journalism
Okay,
major,
gotcha.
Yeah.
but he started to write fictional short stories.
Uh-huh.
And I started to think about possibly like doing the movie thing or finding my way into that. And then Jake hit me up or something and was like, I think I'm going to try to write a screenplay instead of a short story.
Yeah.
And it was just like this crazy convergent evolution.
Because I remember distinctly when I saw, it's the moment that really changed everything for me is when the first Into the Spider-Verse animated movie came out.
Peter Ramsey?
Yeah,
Peter Ramsey.
Legend.
Legend.
And, I really love the film. Like, I love animation. And, I would love to kind of work in that space at some point. But even more so than that, I was walking out of Silver Spot, which was our local theater in Chapel Hill.
Yeah.
And
That was sick.
walked out, and there was a little black boy and his dad walking out right behind me. And he looked up at his dad and said, "Daddy, that was me." And I remember it devastated me and healed me in the same time. I went back to my car and I started crying, and I was like truly like crying, like tears of joy, really, that that this kid wasn't gonna have to grow up like like we did, right? Where you have to
with
graft
2
your
seasons of
identities.
Static Shock.
Yeah, exactly. But like you would have to graft your identity onto heroes who didn't look like you, right?
Yeah.
I remember it was in that moment where I was like, whatever I do, because I had already kind of developed a love for writing and an affinity for this type of things. I wanted people to be able to see it.
And
in
a
way
distance
that-
from football.
Absolutely, yeah, because I was kind of falling out of love with football and falling into love with this, but I wanted people to see the work that I was doing, and you know, the only way that I knew how to do that was with movies and television. So I remember I was sitting behind my Lenovo ThinkPad in my college house, and the first thing I wrote was like, how do you write a screenplay? And I just clicked on the first 5 searches, and then just read countless screenplays, watched a bunch of movies, watched some YouTube demonstrations and things like that.
Yeah.
And then
Celtics.
Just used the free. I don't know if it's free anymore, but at the time there was a free service called Celtics where you could use the 3 free scripts
Per email.
So I kept
did a
making
lot of
20
Celtics.
emails.
I kept making
Yeah.
burner emails to
Indie
keep
Austin
writing.
film.
Absolutely.
Everybody's on Celtics, man.
For sure.
But yeah, it just kind of came through that, and then just like falling in love with movies and television, and like especially movies. I think like that's the thing that really kind of changed my outlook, because I think, you know, watching them when you're a fan or when you're a friend, I think is like, you know, you go out with your friends to like, you know, a big movie or whatever, and you're like, oh, this is like super fun. This is really exciting. But
what I
when you
say every
watch it
time.
as like a possible career path, I think you're
Yeah.
the ideas in which you're interpreting the movie change forever,
For
and the
sure.
ways in which you're processing it, the ways in which you're experiencing it.
It's like using
Becomes-
muscles you didn't know you had.
Exactly. It
And
becomes research.
knowing you
Yeah,
have them makes
absolutely.
you realize like maybe you can do this. You
Yeah,
know.
absolutely.
I think for some people it's a thing of learning how to understand it in that way, but I think for both of us it was very much a thing of like it was awakened, and it was like, whoa, this thing has always been on us. We've always kind of approached storytelling and narrativized like other facets of our life through storytelling.
Yeah.
And this is like a real way we can like tap into that thing that's already been there like for however long we've been around.
Harness it, give it structure through the art form.
Definitely.
I have a question. As kids, were you two? I can already maybe guess this because I saw your history video on YouTube that you showed me between y'all. You guys would probably play out as siblings do.
Yeah.
I think pretty often play out imaginary scenarios as children.
Oh, all
Well,
the time.
we had a flip
Tell us about some
camera.
imaginary scenarios you had.
Yeah, we had a
What were we about? Yeah, what is
we
this?
had a flip camera, like one of
Okay.
those little ones,
Yeah.
and I remember we had that, and there were these stickers on them that I think were from Little Big Planet. And I remember that too, but like
Yeah.
we would record stuff on there, and sometimes we'd have our dad like record it when both of us were in a scene. But we'd do that a lot for school projects. So anytime there was a school project where we could do like a video thing or like do like a little movie, we would always do that.
Yeah, yeah, and it's interesting because like I think that's how we grew close, because we would do a lot of the flip phone things, and then, you know, not to get like too dark too quick, but like I developed depression and at the end of middle school, and we didn't make those movies anymore.
Wow.
And then it wasn't until I got out of my depressive phase in college when I found my love for it again. You know?
Wow.
So I think like I
That's
don't.
fascinating.
There's like a
Yeah.
seedling of it.
There's
Absolutely,
not
yeah,
only that,
yeah.
like the idea of film, right? Or taking a video. You are recording something, immortalizing something, but the actual process is you're catching light.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that
Absolutely.
when depression a lot of times feels, like you said, too dark, too quick, like darkness.
Yeah.
It feels like you lose touch with your light or your fire, and
Yeah.
you stop stoking whatever that thing that brought you joy was.
Absolutely.
And it's interesting that lined up like that, right?
Yeah.
As soon as that hits you, you're not even feeling the inspiration to do something that is
Yeah.
to quite literally call on your light.
Yeah.
Totally.
And
Definitely.
until you got through it.
And it was organic both ways, right?
Right.
Like it fell out of my life organically.
Yeah.
Because of something that was
Yeah.
organically in my brain and the way that I,
Totally.
process, the chemicals in my body. And then it came back to me organically.
Yeah.
In a way in which I felt frustrated with the life that I'd lived up to that point. I felt frustrated with the career path that I'd chosen, which was college football. Yeah. And then out of nowhere, lightning strikes, and you catch on to it, you try to bottle it and release it and back into the world in your own interpretation of it.
Yeah.
So why do you think that cleared up at that age where the light was able to come back in and the depressive part ended?
I think a lot of it had to do with, honestly, us reconnecting. I think I've spent
Sick.
I've spent many a moon morning the years that we lost,
Right.
not connecting.
Well, it was crazy because on that note, like we said, me and Jake, like we were kind of in and out when we were younger. He gets middle school, and we kind of just like basically lived together rather than being brothers or anything, or much less friends. But and there were a lot of like tough times. Like there were definitely some interactions we had that would have ended a friendship, but because we're brothers, like they could not end. Like mortal wounds that we survived for sure.
Absolutely.
But when I started playing football, he would drive up me to practice in the morning at like 6 a.m. And on those rides to and from practice in that summer, we became like best friends, and we spend this semester together hanging out, like going to parties together, you know, like, and he's like this senior and this kind of like big figure around like the Charlotte high school community or whatever. So I'm like having this ball of a time, and then he graduates early. So we get like 6 months together after like 14 wasted years, and he's 300 miles away. And then of course, you know, he moves to LA around the time I go to college.
And I graduated early again.
Because
I fucking hate school.
Super smart.
I love learning, but holy shit, I hate school. And our parents would never let us fail. They would never let us drop out. So the only other chance that I had to leave school
was to graduate early.
Be good enough at school to leave early.
Yeah, and because of football, you were doing like summer school because you had to stay and do summer classes through UNC's program. But then after that, he moves 3,000 miles away. So we kind of spent 8 years virtually, you know, connecting and becoming best friends after this like awesome 6 months together. But because of his schedule and then the move to Los Angeles, we probably saw each other like 10 to 15 times over like an 8-year period. And some of those were like for a couple weeks or months or whatever, but it was probably like 10 to 15 times. And it's definitely also like really, I think, strengthened our creative relationship to have to communicate and create virtually and through distance.
And I think to your earlier question, you know, I think like a lot of it was like coming out of that, like I had dealt with my own struggles with depression, and then I had been vulnerable and honest enough to share those experiences in like an essay format, and then much to my surprise, it got like picked up by ESPN and Sports Illustrated, and I was inundated with thousands of responses, and it wasn't just like, hey, like, thanks for sharing, buddy. Like, it was like, you know, a Gulf War veteran who had been dealing with PTSD for 30 years shared with me what he had been dealing with and not his wife. And then like a father who shared with me the eulogy that he gave at his son's funeral who had completed suicide, shared with me that eulogy, you know, and it was like very kind of poignant stuff like that. And I think it was the first time I knew my writing was good and it could do some good.
Right.
But when you're in when you're in the wilderness in the way that I was, right, where there was no school, like there was no concentrated program like Conor went to be able to like build that muscle like we were talking about. You really kind of have to fall back on like whatever you think you're capable of doing, right? And I'm so grateful for football to build those intangible things about discipline and hard work and all those things.
Definitely.
And once I made the decision that this is what I wanted to do, I threw myself into it, and I'm so grateful that I fell in love with it. Because I think there's a lot of things that we like and a lot of things that we tolerate. I think that's a big thing in life. But I feel so lucky and so honored to be chasing a dream and chasing a passion and doing it with my brother and with you, and then, you know, also with Journey, and like have these experiences, but to do it for something that matters. That matters to me, that matters to everybody in a way that feels spiritual. And I'm excited to talk about the movies that we have for those reasons specifically. But I think what brought me out of the light or brought me into the light was the light, you know, was the light of the motion picture, was the light of watching these things and
seeing their impacts in the world, making that impact yourself.
And I talk a lot about
something to fall in love with.
And I'm sure we'll talk about it a little bit when we talk about the movies, but like I was just at a screening yesterday, and I was talking with a really lovely director, and we were talking about like what a gift that film is, because it's the closest thing that we have to time travel, and how wonderful to go back to 1955 or 1946 or 1978 or even a few years ago,
2018
or 2018, or go to Sweden, or go to Asia or go to Europe,
Yeah.
go to places you've never been, people you've never seen, people who will never meet you, you know, like the actors that in A Matter of Life and Death, like we'll never meet those people, but they made a profound impression on us, and what a beautiful gift, the expression of that humanity, and like to be able to be in service of that pursuit, I think is what really brought me out, you know, is that like I can be a part of this, all of its messiness, all of its ugliness, all of the things that you hear about Hollywood, all the things that have been revealed about Hollywood. Despite all of that, everything melts away when you sit center stage and you see the trailers start to come out.
Yeah.
You know, and I think
I
it's just
have
beautiful.
I don't know if we can fit in. I have a crazy story about that, which I didn't actually realize till just here. He had that experience with Spider-Man. I have a similar story that connects to that with the second Spider-Man movie, Beyond the Spider-Verse. I told you this once a while ago. So I was in Europe last summer, and I wasted a bunch of money going to Europe for like a month and a half because I was like, I'm going to the real world next year.
It's not a waste. That's
Not
a
a
whole
waste,
bunch
not
of
a
life
waste.
you earned.
It was. I
That's an
bought a
investment.
bunch of
You
life.
bought a bunch
I
of
bought a
experience.
bunch of memory.
You did. And you're about to tell a story from it.
Very true.
Paid on
Paying
the
paying off
story.
right now.
But,
yeah, big time.
I go there, and a couple of my friends, UNCSA has an exchange program with the Conrad Wolf Institute in Berlin. So a bunch of my friends were in Berlin for 2 weeks making a movie. And I go and meet with all of them in Paris, and it's like amazing because they all a couple of them are fluent in English and French, so they're translating. Paris is like a very English city, although Parisians would get mad at me for saying that. It's true.
It's all right.
I think that
send this to them.
we were doing the things I want to do. I don't really like doing tourist stuff, so we're going to these bars. We're asking like these French people. We meet out the street. It's like, hey, where are you going? What are you doing tonight? And it was this incredible experience. And then I continue my trip. I go to Lyon, and Lyon is not a very popular tourist destination. All my friends who have already been here for 2 weeks, they go back to America. So I'm by myself. I've never traveled alone before, and I'm in Lyon, and nobody speaks English. Nobody. And it's this insane thing where and I can barely get out any French. But my day there, my first day there is a silent one. You know, I'm going around, I do a bit of stuff, but I don't speak to another human being.
You're like a mime, dude. You're trying to
I'm like a
French
ghost
culture.
walking through the city. I am literally lonely in a crowd.
You're trying to get food, just handing them random amounts of money.
I'm typing on my little thing to translate. But I go do that, and it's and I've had this wonderful experience where I've had this buffer of friendship to kind of disconnect me a little bit from the reality there and from being a stranger in a strange land. And I kind of just waste this day. But I wake up and I'm like, you know what? I paid to be here, obviously.
That's right.
I
wasted a
I gotta
bunch
go.
of money.
I wasted a bunch of money yesterday. I wasted a bunch of money yesterday creating no memories.
You're entitled to a good time, dude.
I'm entitled to a good time. So I go out that day and you know
You're
what?
worthy.
And I go out and I'm talking to people, I'm talking to store owners.
In English or what?
In English, yeah, in English. Coincidentally too, I go to some store to just shop around, and there's one person there who speaks English, and she walks me around and she helps me out, and she was really cool.
Did she hold your hand?
I wish. Then it would have been a story.
Then it would have been worth it.
Even
I really
despite
got my money's worth.
despite not having people to necessarily talk to, I don't let that stop me on this day. But it is still a lonely
Unstoppable.
experience. I'm a bit unstoppable.
To say you're unstoppable.
But that night, the second Spider-Verse movie comes out, and I go see it. And I've had this really lonely, isolating experience.
Right.
But for 2 hours, and I see it in English, for 2 hours, I'm laughing at the same time as everyone else.
Yeah.
And I'm nervous at the same time as everyone else.
Yeah.
And it's in English, but it's translated in French, so I'm also seeing kind of what jokes don't land and do land. So like I'm myself still within this crowd, but for 2 hours, it is a communal emotional experience where I literally transcend the boundary of language. Watching this movie with a French audience.
Yeah.
And emotionally, we are all having the same conversation.
Yeah.
You were French in that movie theater.
I was French in that movie theater.
Oui, oui.
Actually, the crazy thing is I wasn't French, but I was an American, and they weren't French either. We were just an audience.
Leave your passport at the
And
door.
that power to like dispel all those boundaries is the thing that, I mean, like for the rest of my life, that'll be the memory that's like, that's why I want to make movies. So the next time someone is alone in a foreign country or alone in their own country, their own town that they grew up in, and they've never felt like connected to anyone, they go see that movie and then they're like, wow, for 2 hours, you know, it was me and them and there wasn't any boundary. But it's crazy. Same series.
Well, and it speaks
Years
to
later.
it speaks to what everybody's after, not just in film or television, whatever. But it's about community, right? Like, you know, the fact that we're all here.
You
and
make
that,
movies in a communal aspect
absolutely.
with a crew.
And it's just like to have that feeling, and like we're all here talking about it, and you know, we have the lovely like David and Chloe and Eliana behind us who have helped set this up. Like,
And
you know,
Molly.
all of us are together, and Molly, of course. That I should not forget the dog. But like the fact that we're all here celebrating that is part of what everyone is after, and like. That's why I think, like, you know, obviously, I think most people have probably seen a majority of the movies they watch at home. You know,
especially today.
especially, you know, in preparation for this, right? To be able to watch them, and like again, like I'm glad that we have moved to the 21st century and we're able to watch all these things at the touch of a button. It's great to be able to inundate yourself in that way, but there will be nothing that will ever replicate the communal experience of going to AMC Century City or going to the Arrow or going to these places. I remember, and this is like the Archers who did A Matter of Life and Death, which we'll be talking about. They also did this movie called The Red Shoes, which is their masterpiece. And I remember it was the first time I went to the Arrow. I hadn't been to a lot of the repertory theaters in LA here. It was a rainy Wednesday night. Screening was at 7:30. It was pouring rain. And, you know, obviously if you're in LA, it doesn't rain that often. So it was like kind of my first experience of LA rain. And I was like, oh, like, you know, do I even want to go to this movie anymore? Right. And then I just, you know, I made the trek and then I came out there and I was like, I wonder who's even going to be here. So I show up about like 7, probably roughly 7. And I don't see anybody in line. I'm like, okay, well, it might just be me, which wouldn't be the worst thing either, right? But I go in, I kind of make it through, and then the way that the Arrow is set up, it's like this long hallway, and you can't see who's in the theater until you actually turn in the door. So I go in, I pass the concessions, I go in through the double doors, and there are 100 people there. On a rainy Wednesday night for a movie that's 100 or like 80 years old. And I remember I started crying. I was like, we all came here.
All the time.
We braid all.
I'm getting teary-eyed just hearing that.
But like, you know, we braved, you know, the mild elements, right? But like, you know, we all came out here. We bought a ticket. We decided to still persevere and come out here despite the weather and all these things, to sit and watch a movie that's 80 years old that we could have watched at home. You know, that we could have. It wasn't a new release. And I just think that that's just.
Yeah,
it's magical.
It's special.
You know?
It's healing in so many ways. I was at LACMA today with someone who studies art history, and her thing that she wants to figure out and innovate is how to get every piece of art presented in a way that is more culturally accessible. The walking into an empty room with paintings all over the walls has like a sterile energy to it
Really
that doesn't lend itself to like XYZ culture. So it was like, oh, that tends to be an environment that these cultures really enjoy looking at art, but not these, not most. And so she's trying to innovate that. And I said, oh, interesting, because there is something intangible, but also like undeniable about going to a diner, let's say. You go into a diner and it having like the older leather and the aesthetic of old diners
feels
you can't replicate that unless you go to the diner. You have to go to the diner or a movie theater. People were all shut in for the pandemic and they got tired of watching movies off their couch. They wanted to get out, and then it became obvious again. Oh yeah, you can't like supplement the feeling of going and seeing a movie in theaters, anywhere but in theaters.
Absolutely.
There's an intangibility similar to this.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not the same if it's not real wood.
Yeah.
You know, and
This is not a gas flame.
it's not a gas flame.
We can never.
Things
do
are
that.
different.
That would be right.
Yeah.
Because who would need to keep the
We
fire?
don't have the infrastructure
Yeah,
for that.
but well, so
That's phase two.
this has been so interesting to hear you both dive into the like purity of what brought you to film. It bringing you to light in many ways,
absolutely.
and it being even the nature of the project. Because I know one thing about you that I've always admired is you. When I first met you, had just moved out here, and actually,
You
when I
should tell the
first said I'm
story,
going
right?
to tell that
Yeah,
story,
yeah.
that wasn't what I meant right now, but I'm going to tell that story because it's very indicative of what I want to say.
It's great, yeah.
Is that so? The first time I meet you, I'm showing Till a song. I show him the
Shout
song.
out Till.
Shout out
Till
Till.
T. Simon.
Shout out
Till T.
Till.
Simon.
Shout out
Big
Till
T.
T. Simon.
And I'm showing Till this song, and then we're all hanging out. You were there with an ex-partner of yours, and at some point, Till's like, "Oh, by the way, Jake's a writer and a filmmaker. Eman's also a director. His movie's on HBO." I had a short film, Pepito, 15 minutes, HBO, and you were like, "Oh, word, what's it called?" I was like, "Pepito," and you were like, "Cool, cool." But we're in your apartment, so you getting up to leave the room didn't in any way make me think anything of it, right? I thought you were going to the bathroom or water or whatever.
Getting a snack.
Literally 15 minutes later, I just noticed, like, where's this guy been this whole time? Did he just stop hanging out with us?
Long
And then I'm
bathroom break.
about to walk out to go to the bathroom, and the door opens, and he's just hand out, like, dude, great movie. I'm like, what? That actress is amazing. I'm like, isn't she? Like, he got me right in my favorite part of the movie. I went, isn't she? And he's like, yeah, dude,
Cuts
awesome
right to
ending
it.
scene. He, like, hit me with 3 of my favorite things in a row. And I'm like, wait, you just watched it? He was like, yeah, man. And then I realized, oh, you are committed. This is when I really understood you as a filmmaker. It was like, you started watching minimum a movie a day, if not 2, if not 3. And it was like a conglomeration of, I'm seeing this one at the New Beverly, I'm seeing this one at AMC, and I'm watching this one at home on a Blu-ray.
Yeah.
It was like so many different
Physical
forms of
media.
media.
Yeah.
And this aligning with you coming to the light, movies are so healing and they teach us so much, right? There have been so many times, the theaters to me feel like what I imagine church has felt like to other people who grew up religious. I have had
I feel the same
some of
way.
my deepest revelations or breakthroughs in a movie theater watching a film.
Absolutely.
And that being like what happens from cinema.
Yeah.
And then you going, I'm going to watch all the greats and all the flops and all the things in between.
And all like the interpersonal stuff. Like I'm gonna watch your movie with the same
All the-
attention
yes,
and reverence
yes.
that I'm gonna go to the theater for,
Right.
or I'm just gonna throw on some B movie.
So then you're like putting yourself right in front of lived out life experience that someone else has articulated into a story that is meant to bring everyone through a journey.
Absolutely.
So it almost is like an expedition. Oh, wow.
Good shit.
An expedition of growth.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, not only is it like lighting my flame again,
Yeah.
let me stoke the fire and keep throwing movie after movie after movie,
Absolutely.
log after log after log. Like, it's fascinating how committed you were to that, and it makes sense that it helped you sort of take the weight off and
Absolutely.
start to develop
It was
more
like
of
as
a-
your fire was starting up.
Yeah,
for
you know,
sure.
and that's
It's
what
so
we talk
cool.
about all the time, right? Like, you know, when Connor and I are working on stuff and like reading each other's work or, you know, doing all those things, is it like, it's not about, Connor brought up a beautiful point, and forgive me if I'm
Nice, dude.
butchering by paraphrasing, but I think it went something along the lines of, there's a difference between wanting to make movies and wanting to get movies made.
Yeah, I did say that.
Oh.
I'm all
You
about
know?
the second.
That's why he's not in the film industry at all.
Office job.
Journey brings a real venture capital. Like, how can we
Let's
like
crank 'em
maximum
out.
performance,
Producer
minimum
type
cost?
beat,
you
Let's
know?
make Fast and Furious 15.
Let's make this
get it
money.
out. How many Kirby's
We
can we
have a
make?
fan base.
Let's do Ant-Man.
Journey
Yes.
IP Bailey.
Please repeat that. I love that line.
Yeah, Connor said, you know, well, why don't you say it since you
Go
said
on,
it?
Connor.
Yeah.
Say it like you
Make
said
that
it.
point again.
Do you want to make movies or do you want to get a movie made?
And I think that they're so demonstrably different in that succinct analysis, because the former, the one that I think like we all want to pursue, Journey is obviously focused on the latter. Godspeed to him.
Godspeed to you.
Someone's got to have their head screwed on straight.
Absolutely.
Someone's got to get their head. Someone's got to make money.
He'll be our patron.
I'm
Push on the bacon.
I'm a spreadsheets guy.
Real Roger Corman over here.
I'm a real contract type guy.
but the former, I think, is everything that we've talked about up to this point.
Yeah.
Is that you want to make something in a cultural and in a historical line of everything that has come before you, and you hope that it will stand the test of time. So in the next 20 years, when someone who watches our film walks out of the theater and then hears a little boy say something, or walks into a theater in France and feels that a moment, or walks into the Arrow and then sees 100 people here for a movie that's that they've all brought them there. I think that like that is what this is about, and I think that's why we gravitate towards horror the most, I think, because horror is very interesting to me. I mean, it always has been. Like Frankenstein's my favorite book. I remember reading that in high school and just falling in love with it.
It's one of the few books I've read.
Oh, it's just, and she wrote, Mary writing it when she was 18 is just insane. But
Mary Shelley something.
Mary Shelley, yeah.
Oh, you guys are on first name basis?
Yeah, that's my girl.
Cool. Her, Percy.
Me and Percy. Yeah, we go way back.
I don't know if you want to go way back.
I was actually go to that cabin. Actually.
I don't know if you want to go way back with Percy. Percy might get canceled.
Big Mary dude.
But horror is very interesting to me for a lot of reasons. There's a writer who writes about science fiction, or I don't know if he's still alive. His name's Darko Suvin.
What's his name?
Darko Suvin.
Pretty crazy name.
Right?
Darko Suvin.
He had to write about something.
He was written already, dude.
But I think he's one of the people that coined the term of cognitive estrangement, which basically means, and he was talking about specifically for science fiction, but I think it really is all genre, and I think horror kind of falls in line with that really explicitly too. Is that cognitive estrangement is basically the mental process of you literally estranging yourself from the thing that you're watching, and doing it in science fiction or horror to be able to send whatever message, whether it's like socio-political or racial or economic or any of these things that sort of like that we deal with on a daily basis that may be too raw in a straight one-to-one drama. But if we place it in horror or if you place it in science fiction, we're able to interpret and digest that message a little bit more clearly.
And deeply.
Because it's removed.
Because we're removed from
You're allowed to engage
So,
with it.
the great example
enters
is
you as
obviously
you enter the idea.
George Orwell's Animal Farm, right? You read that book and you're like, oh, these pigs are fucking awful. And then you're like, oh, this is a stand-in
Then you go to your job and you're like, these pigs are fucking
exactly,
awful.
right? And it's a stand-in for everything.
Connor, you ain't never had a job like that in your whole life.
I had a job in 8 years.
Check yourself, dude.
Connor just got out of film school and you have your job and it's like
No
these
pigs
Then you go
pigs
to your
are
9 to
awful.
5 where you punch your clock
Then
and
you punch
stick
it, you're
it to
like
the
talking like
man.
you're at Fight Club,
You count the seconds to 4:45 so you can make 20 more cents with
Connor's
15
creating
less
like
minutes.
off-the-book unions and things like that.
Call me a revolution over there, dude. Chill, dude.
But the reason why I think horror is like for one of those moments, but also like it's for the cognitive estrangement, so you're able to talk about things in a way that I think will get across without like being too raw. And horror has always been a genre to do that. I mean, like you talk about Frankenstein, you talk about Night of the Living Dead, you talk about all these movies. But the other reason goes back to the communal. Is that I think it is the only genre, truly, with the exception of comedy, and I think horror and comedy have always been linked in that way.
Journey.
That they both of them fully elicit a physiological response.
Well, that's what I was about
the
to
way
say.
that other genres don't, right? Because like with movies, you are engaging into an agreement, in a consensual agreement. You have walked into that you are watching a fabrication.
Right. This is not real.
From beginning to end, this is a preordained destination.
Yeah.
You know that these are actors on a screen. You are literally separated by a veil.
Even if it's like a biopic, it's a recreation.
Exactly.
Unless it's the Blair Witch Project.
Unless, of course, it's the Blair Witch Project,
A
which I was
documentary
actually there
that really
for, and
happened.
It was a great time.
Yeah,
He's
true.
the one guy who got away.
Fourth Encounters.
They cut him from the
also.
movie because it just didn't make
It was just
sense.
too real.
Yeah.
They couldn't have a black person in there.
But point
taken. But like it is that thing where you're literally separated by a veil. And, you cry when you need to cry, you laugh when you need to laugh, all things good. But with horror, you know that these are actors, you know that what you're watching is something that has already happened or already existed. But when that music kicks in, or when it cuts out, and they walk into a dark room or walk out of one,
your heart rate gets faster. You start to sweat.
None of it matters. Yeah. You start to sweat. You start to hold your partner. You start to do all these things in a way that like is
never sweat in there.
Fucking insane, you know. And it's just like I remember going into Hereditary.
Sweating.
And
I was sweating when I got there.
I was fucking drenched as soon as I got there. But like it was I think it was a 6 p.m. screening. And the thing about Chapel Hill is that it's a very old area. Like just demographically, it's an older
the people
population
are older.
there. Yeah.
Okay, got you.
So it was like, and Ari Aster had not become the brand that he is. The only thing that he had done was Strange Things About the Johnsons. Yeah. So people would watch this trailer and be like, "Oh, it's like a weird like horror movie. I guess that's like
it's
cool
a
to
great
like check
trailer
out or whatever."
Too. It's a great trailer.
So we walk into Hereditary, and then we're sitting with like maybe 60 to 80 people or whatever it is, and the moment in Hereditary where her head comes off in the first like 20 minutes of the movie.
Spoiler alert!
Spoiler alert for Hereditary. You haven't seen the 6-year-old Hereditary movie. But when that moment happened, before all the things in the movie, you hear people maybe whispering, you hear people eating, you hear all those things when that happened, you couldn't hear anything.
Stop the movement.
And I remember
from popcorn
after the movie ended, when the house lights came up. Yeah. There were full buckets of popcorn left on seats. People stopped eating. They stopped talking. They stopped doing all the things that you do at an experience like that.
It's kind of rude just to leave it there, though.
I mean, you should have picked it up.
You're so scared you can't even throw it away.
That's how shocked they were.
But
they couldn't even take anything else with them. They just had to leave.
So scary, it's an excuse for bad behavior.
Yeah, that's how fear works.
Yeah.
I think that's what you're going for as a creator of the horror genre.
Oh,
right?
absolutely.
You want popcorn. You want
the more
red
popcorn
vines.
left in seats, the better you did as a horror
the messier the theater, the better job that you did.
You want that soda full to the brim. You know what I mean? Maybe 1 or 2 sips at the most gone.
Yeah.
And then
but what you're saying, it's a full experience in horror.
Absolutely.
That unlike any other genre, and that's what you two are. I didn't know you were also specifically drawn so much to horror. I obviously know that from talking to you so much about it and telling you no to not wanting to see certain movies. So I'm like, that's too far for me, actually.
But thanks for not recommending movies like that, by the way.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
Too scary, Journey won't watch
That's right, actually. We should get to that. We should get to that. So Journey and I asked you guys to watch a movie that Journey and I had seen a long time ago, and then you guys asked us to watch a movie that you both decided on, that you saw whenever you saw it. I'm not sure.
Long time ago,
yeah.
And
just for harmony, let's just say that.
I think let's read the
I have it.
The little bios of the movies out so that everyone listening, so you guys can get a good little log line of the movies we're going to get into.
We'll read the first one first, and I think we should talk about Border first.
I think so too.
Because I'm very curious about why. I want to hear about why you guys selected that.
I think we do need to give time to Border.
It's important that we address that.
So Border was released in 2018 by filmmaker Ali Abbasi, who has a new film out called The Apprentice. Border is about when a border guard with a sixth sense for identifying smugglers encounters the first person she cannot prove is guilty, she is forced to confront terrifying revelations about herself and humankind.
That's right.
It's a romantic comedy.
It's a rom-com. And
why Border?
So it's Swedish, by the way.
Well, do we want to mention?
Swedish.
Do we want to mention the other movie as well?
Yes, let's do that.
Let's
do that
first,
and then we'll talk about Border.
The second movie that we're going to talk about after that is. We talked about, I think we brought it up a little bit, The Archers, Emeric, Pressburger, and Michael Powell. They were a British filmmaking duo from the 40s, and the movie that we're talking about from them is A Matter of Life and Death. When a young RAF pilot, it's from 1946, by the way. When a young RAF pilot miraculously survives bailing out of his aeroplane without a parachute, he falls in love with an American radio operator. But the officials in the other world realize their mistake and dispatch an angel to collect him.
Amazing log line for that movie, which I love very much. Right? We both loved very much. So we
For Border.
We asked you both, the Lawler Bros, filmmakers, friends of ours, writers, to watch Border, a movie we had seen once, probably like 6, maybe
6 or 7 years ago.
And where did you see it?
Alamo
We saw
Draft
it
House,
in
South
the theaters, and it changed our lives.
It definitely changed.
It changed
Did
a lot.
Did you know? Had you seen a trailer? Did you know about
Nothing.
the movie?
We went into
nothing.
this movie blind.
We went in
at
like
an art house cinema.
like
Well,
y'all
why did you guys pick it
At an art
up?
house cinema.
At an art house cinema.
It was probably just the time we were
I
walking
think it was
by
the only
movie
movie.
theater.
It just,
It was
yeah,
like,
it was
that's
the movie
gonna
that was
start
playing. We
in
were like, let's
15
just catch a
minutes,
film.
like, we'll see that.
And to be honest,
yeah.
oh my. Spoilers incoming. If you haven't seen
Spoilers for
alert
Border,
for
for the
Border.
6-year-old
Spoilers for
Border.
Border.
Yes.
When we thought of the movie, there's a very distinct scene in that movie that to me stood out very much. I never forgot it, and after a long time, it started to even seem a little funny.
Yeah.
In some ways, that it is so like visceral and provocative. And in my mind, and I'm assuming in his, we had the thought that it would be interesting to see y'all's reaction to this specific scene.
Yeah.
And then we started watching it again to rewatch it
For
so we
this.
could discuss it. Yes.
Yeah.
And immediately realized there was a lot we forgot
Yeah.
It was even better than I remember.
about this movie.
That was my experience. I was like, we really picked a good movie.
And it is interesting, because it is an incredibly provocative film,
yeah.
Sure.
visceral to like a very human degree. Like it really is a film
Even in the
about
ways that it's not.
especially the ways
No.
that it's not.
No.
They are to elucidate the difference between humans and not humans. Trolls is what we find out that they are.
We find out that they're trolls.
And so it was initially somewhat in jest.
No.
And then when we watched it, realized, whoa, this isn't that funny of a movie at all, actually. It was just that one recollection we had of a very insane scene, the sex scene.
Of course.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
And
The major
but
set
then-
piece of the motion picture.
But then we ended up, we're rewatching the film, and it does come all the way around, and that is an incredibly moving and somewhat weirdly relatable film.
Did you watch it together when you rewatched it?
Yes, we
We
did.
watched, both times.
Well,
Both
why
times.
do you think it was better this time? And I'm curious about like why you like it so much too.
I like it so much because it just grips you from beginning to end, and I've always been a fan of forest lore.
Sure.
Forest lore.
What?
No, definitely. I feel you.
You know what I mean? I was a big fan of,
Did you like Shrek?
I was a big fan of
You're
the
General folklore
Shrek
in
guy.
Northwest Europe.
I was a big fan of the Zelda franchise.
Twilight Forest.
I grew up
Okay.
in Sherwood,
Oh.
So my high
So
school
there's
mascot was
nostalgia
a
to
Bowman.
it for you.
What's that?
A
So
little
it was just like
nostalgia
home.
for you.
So it was nostalgic for me, and personally, I might have the dissenting opinion here, but I think it's also a very sweet film.
It is a very sweet film.
Because
At its core.
there is this feeling that even if you're a troll, that there's someone out there for you. And you're gonna you can have this beautiful experience where you're just falling in love, where in a way that rivals the Titanic. But it may turn out that the person you fell in love with is involved in an underground pedophile ring.
So true. Tale as old as time. I think. Do you want
Classic first
to
date
give a
scenario.
little
Yeah.
context to what happens in the movie? Just like a quick overview beyond the log line.
Yeah, let's hear y'all's overview.
Yeah, we really wanted to get your guys' take on it. I was just really happy imagining you two watching.
Yeah,
it.
so there's this border guard. What's her name? Tina?
Yeah, what did you take from the
Tina,
movie?
but that's not her
So
real name,
Tina
but
is a border guard who has
Her name is actually Rico.
Her real name is actually
because her
Reva.
parents were actually not her parents.
That is the
Don't dead name her.
Tina is the angelicalized version of her name. But yeah, she's a border guard who has the ability to smell fear, guilt, and shame.
Yeah.
And she lucks into, or I guess not lucks into, but because of her ability, she ends up uncovering someone who is transporting some data bank or terabytes of child porn, and then the police force brings her in as a special consultant to figure out where this person who is like, I guess, a purveyor, not like a a plug.
Yeah, like some sort of middleman.
Some sort of middleman. They want to get to the source. So that she embarks on that journey as this police consultant while also developing a relationship with the first person we assume she's met who shares her physical features and her abilities, which is a guy named Vor.
Yeah.
And continues. She starts to change her life in result to her romantic experiences with Vor. Starts to run around naked in the forest, have sex with her intersex lover, and she is also intersex. And this changes her life. She kicks out her shitty, rapey kind of roommate, boyfriend, dog trainer. But then she also finds out eventually that her partner, Vor, is the one supplying the child porn. Or not the child porn, supplying the children.
Literally stealing and selling
babies and switching them
because of his hatred for the human race.
Yeah, a baby that he gives birth to, which I guess can't survive or something.
Well, no, it's just not fertilized.
On that point. It's not fertilized.
It's not fertilized.
It's like halfway there.
Did they ever address how the little troll babies get fertilized?
No, but I think when they had sex, that's why that baby
was able to go on
fully a baby.
Leave the fridge.
Because the baby comes back, right? So
he swaps
the
that
baby
one.
comes back.
Yeah.
But
it's a beautiful little
Tina
baby.
ends up, I guess, setting up Vor. Because she believes, and he's doing it to get revenge on humans. He's like fueling their ability to destroy each other, and take each other apart, and their ability to be evil. Yeah. But she has still a love for humans and thinks like there's a path forward. I guess there's also like a bunch of trials on trolls in the 70s. He's getting retribution for. She ends up setting Vor up, and he gets arrested. And then escapes.
Yeah.
Very quickly.
Jumps right off the boat.
Just
jumps right off the boat. It turns out trolls can swim.
Which we saw multiple times.
Yeah, which conflicts with the history of bridges and their relationship.
Classic screenwriting.
Of course. Yeah. And
in the creek.
She lives her life.
So, it's a very, there's like very grotesque, visceral pieces to the film. Yeah. And then there's also very moving and honest scenes that have to do with romance and connection, loneliness, isolation, hatred, like I guess you would call it racism in the movie, but it's more speciesism because she's a different
self-hatred for sure.
Self-hatred for sure, feeling alone, not knowing what you are, let alone who you are, and then finding someone that she identifies with for the first time, him explaining to her, this is what you are.
Yeah.
You've been lied to. The people around you don't care about you, X, Y, Z. And that leading her on a path that does help her ultimately, but then she comes to find out he is a monster in the moral sense and does what you said. So with all that, there are a few scenes that stand out pretty specifically. But what scenes did you guys think stood out the most, or what about the film did you resonate the most with, resonate the least with? Any oddities, anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's I found it to be a rather complicated viewing experience in a way that I found pretty illuminating after. But it's not it's a movie that is very arrhythmic in a way in which you're watching a motion picture. When you're watching a usual movie, the scenes go on maybe a little bit longer than, or sometimes a lot longer than you think that they would, or sometimes a lot shorter. It's structurally paced in such a way that I think like it can be like a little meandering and then also very propulsive. And all of this I fundamentally believe is intentional, because obviously so much of self-identification and self-revelation is messy, is violent, is ugly.
Turbulent.
And to make an experience in which you're watching it feel similarly.
Yeah, it's strange in medium, not just message.
Exactly. But I think what I was struck by most is the empathy in it, right? Like I think that like there were moments of it that I think could be read, and I think maybe should be read as like a little bit cheap, and maybe like, oh, like this was kind of we're just doing this because it's weird, or like, it's a weird movie, isn't it? And it could have, but like the thing is, like, it could have delved into like pure exploitation, and it didn't.
Right.
I don't think it ever did.
Right.
Because I think like it towed that line, I think, very deftly at times, where it was like, these beings, these trolls, look different than we do. Yeah. They act different than we do. They have different sexual organs than we do. Like, they birth differently than we do, and all these different things.
Smell.
But they do deserve to know who they are, bare minimum. They deserve the opportunity and the agency to discover that for themselves. They were all stripped of basically their heritage by the surgical removal of their tails, and they all have these scars, like they don't have these tails anymore.
Exactly.
Just like Dragon Ball Z, absolutely. And but I found that to be really inviting, in a way that I think, like, in a movie, and maybe with a less talented filmmaker, or maybe a less empathetic story, that it would have been like, oh, look how fucking crazy this is, right? Look how weird this all is. But like, the moments of them running in the forest and falling in love and all those things, it was just like, there is a beauty in the simplicity of all that, right? Is that, like, it's, in many ways, it's a coming of age story, right? Tina has lived as Tina for X amount of years. We don't really know how old she is.
In a show.
And then we see her live as Riva, and start to discover that. And I found that to be...
Yeah, a coming of age film is a good way to put that, right? And a lot of those do have a romantic partner that breaks their heart in some way.
Absolutely.
That shows them, elucidates to them who they are. What about you, Conor? Anything?
I think for me, what I stuck with me about the film was a bit more removed in the sense of like contents, and more in context of looking at 2018 as a really interesting year for cinema, in a blockbuster sense, but also especially in the sense of what is going on with the festival circuits. You have obviously a Parasite comes out, you have Neon really take their handle, but there's also this idea of zeitgeist filmmaking, talking about not just something that has been going on for a long time, or kind of a reactionary response to world events that you see a lot in independent cinema and in festival cinema, responses to what's going on in the world specifically, or just kind of general, a bit more mumblecore or a bit more dogma idea. This is something that is deeply theatrical, deeply fantastical, but is immensely about, again, zeitgeist. It's about everything going on in the world, not just one thing. It is about the relationship between the urban and the relationship between the environmental, which me and Jake talked about a little bit. Obviously, it's deeply about gender. It's about the access of gender through what are, in a neutering sense, only male practice. Tina's life is dominated by her roommate, her father, her coworker. The first person to actually give her agency in the movie is not Vor, but it's the female caseworker who is doing the child
exploration
porn case.
Into the child pornography case.
And that comes from a female source, so there's this conversation there about gender. And I think it is very much an example of that kind of shift in the 2010s, led a bit by A24, this idea of trauma filmmaking, things like that, into movies that are essentially blenders, not just in practice of theme, but also, again, in practice of theatrical ability and budget. And you can make this movie without the trolls, right? You make this movie without the trolls. You take, I don't know, it's Danish, so you take Travelers.
I think it's Swedish.
Or Swedish. Sorry, Abbasi is a half Danish filmmaker, but you take Travelers, or you take the kind of swing of immigration and refugee into Europe, and you center it there. I can't remember the name of it. There's a movie we love that is about immigrants in that area from the late 90s. I'll try to remember it later. But you can make that movie there, but I think it's really reflective of the time that it has that cognitive dissonance.
Cognitive estrangement.
Cognitive estrangement of, well, we're going to tell the story through trolls, and we're going to choose the most vulgar and unsettling and horrifying aspect of not just like human indulgence, but human capital in child porn, and this idea of like underage, sexual abuse and like sexual distribution. So yeah, I think that like that was what really stuck to me while I was watching it. The larger conversation about where movies were at that time, and the allotment of what those kind of movies can do with those themes, but reflecting them in this bit more Del Toro fantastic.
But I did think I think I wanted one or the other. I wanted it to either be a crime thriller or a discovery movie. And I think what I found to be like a little muddy about the construction of the movie is that like if you're a crime thriller, like you don't necessarily have the elements throughout to make that a compelling discovery. And what I found, and maybe I believe probably what the filmmakers found to be far more interesting, was the self-discovery coming of age element of that. And I think I probably would have preferred if this was, a woman that like she said, that she had some sort of chromosomal defect. Like that was her interpretation of the way that she looked, different. The way that she's just different, but she is a human. I think it would have been far more interesting if they had like fully leaned into that. And then if there is a revelation about Vor's, dark dealings, it would be without the context of her being like the one that has to stop him,
and
right? Like,
it's very on-off in that sense. There is no coming of age in the criminal aspect. Like through her ability as a detective or as the practical application of her smell. There's no discovery there, I think, in who she is. It feels much more indebted to setting up betrayal rather than setting up some sense of like self-creation or self-discovery.
But it does serve sort of as an opportunity for her to finally feel
empowered, though.
Not only, like useful
Absolutely.
and accepted,
Right, she has
and
a
not
role
only
in
accepted,
society.
seen as special and potentially could do more good than an average person could.
Your job as a border agent is to ruin someone's day.
Yeah, it's interesting that you felt like it was the combination of them actually wasn't to your liking. Yeah. I do think the crime thriller element is lessened, which is like, because like you said, they think self-discovery was better. And I agree. I think it was fascinating, like you said, that you could do this movie without the trolls. And that at the end, he says something, and she responds, I don't see the point in evil. Does that make me, is that a human thing? Right. And that idea about humanity and goodness, and it's like, is this idea of humanity, like where's your humanity, separate from being human? It does separate it in this movie. It has nothing to do with being human or being troll.
Well, and to that point too, is that like,
for sure.
And the ending, like the last like 10 minutes of it, I found to be very ambiguous and in a very eliminating
cuts
way.
To the future.
Yeah, where it cuts like a little bit past. Because ultimately, to your point about how she became useful in apprehending Vor and apprehending sort of like, the main culprit of the movie. But then there's a clear rejection of her. Like, it's not like the movie ends with her being accepted into like the elite border patrol task force, like there's a clear rejection of humanity in general, that she does this one thing to maybe like exonerate herself or help or try to help, her neighbors, even though they're obviously never getting their child back because he had already sold him. But there's a clear rejection of humanity in all of its things, which I found to be really interesting, right? Is that like the first time she's felt useful, it cost her the love of her life, and like working within the realm of humanity and like working as a cog in this machine, however noble and however, moral, she decides to forego all that. And she doesn't wear the same clothes that she does. She doesn't wear the same shoes anymore. Her house does not look as well kept. There's that striking shot of the fox going into the empty, the open car door. And then she's left with a child that arrives on her doorstep with the tail, a troll child with the tail still intact. And then, the assumption is that this is like the life that she has chosen now.
Yeah.
Right.
But I found that to be really interesting, is that it was leading up to this moment of acceptance. And then,
it's like humanity, maybe we're not so bad.
And then she decides to reject it, which I found to be fascinating.
Well, even then, right, she's already delineating, is that a thing to be human?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But then I can't stop thinking about the idea of what we relate to in her journey when she says that, and when she does what she does.
Yeah.
We're like, okay, but it is so human to accept, and this is how we describe it, to accept maybe I like to live this way. I wear these clothes. I'm barefoot more often. I eat this type of food. My house is this orderly or this messy.
Yeah.
Accepting the parts of yourself that aren't like your neighbor, aren't like your brother, aren't like your friend, is a human aspect that we always sort of have, at least I have had to unlearn.
Absolutely.
I've had to understand better my troll nature, let's say.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
And
tap
that
into
has
it.
nothing to do with being human in some ways, because we call the other thing humanity. The collective decisions on what it is to be human
Absolutely.
is a groupthink thing.
Yeah.
And then in this movie you see a troll do good for humans, but not for human sake.
Yeah.
Good for good's sake.
Good for
Yeah,
good sake.
absolutely.
Yeah, that
And
difference.
then live her own truth.
Yeah.
And you're like,
Yeah.
actually the catharsis I'm receiving seeing her be, or seeing them be themselves, I would like that for
Absolutely,
myself.
yeah.
And I'm not identifying as a troll. I am human, but it is just to be one with self in a unique way.
But even with that, aesthetically, it's not like they're like the trolls have like stone skin or tusk
Totally.
or some kind of other thing. Like it doesn't. It feels like they're troll in name, and like if you trace back the lineage, there's like common ancestry. You know,
A very
so
near
it
one.
doesn't feel as
This is
mythical.
a couple 100,000 years ago.
Yeah, yeah.
It's pretty much like they're just like Neanderthals. Like if this was like you're really taking a scientific lens to it, it's like the Neanderthals.
It doesn't
that
feel
survived.
mythical in the sense of, we're here from like an ancient war or curse or some star falling to earth. It's
huge
like
green skin.
yeah, it's not Shrek. It's like they look like people.
They could have done this.
If you're
video
going
with
to
Shrek
watch
trolls.
Border,
Border
it
Shrek.
ain't Shrek.
The
It ain't
Shrek
Shrek.
stuff, yeah.
It ain't Shrek
ain't
4.
Shrek, let me tell you.
But I do find what you said interesting as like not necessarily exclusively as a part of this movie, but as a broader discussion.
Yeah.
And keeping in line with like the
theme,
the fire,
Keeping your own
keeping
fire.
the fire is that like the rejection of homogeny in favor of independence, right?
Right,
And the
right.
favor of individuality, right? And obviously this is like, that's a very Western conceit.
Yes, totally.
Because it's obviously that is not the same in Eastern culture for good reasons too. I think like,
Sure.
but I do think like as BIPOC living in America, right? Like, as like, a Black American living in this country, it's about it's constantly about a reckoning, right? It's like, am I an American first? Am I a Black person first? Am I Charlotte first? Am I a football player first? Am I a filmmaker first? Like, what are all these things? And it's like, no, but you can be everything in and of itself,
You can
right?
be
And
more
like
than one thing,
the ability to reconcile my fondness and my affinity for growing up the way that we did in Charlotte, North Carolina, and transpose that to the terrible things that this country has been responsible for since its inception. And like, what does that mean? How do I reconcile that to continue to live in this country, continue to try to do these things? And also the things that they've done to our people specifically, the way in which we were forced to come into this country. And I think like it's a really fascinating discussion point to watch something like that and watch like other movies that like obviously have done a very similar thing throughout the years, throughout the decades, and think about, not only necessarily and not exclusively like what would I do in this situation, but how do I feel as a result of what I've seen?
Right.
and how do I begin to interpret or reinterpret or rediscover or re-examine my own ties with the human world, my own ties with this country, my own ties with my race, my own ties with these things. And I found that to be, and I find that to be still like a very fascinating discussion point, regardless, you know?
Yeah. I think everyone kind of feels like a troll a little bit, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like that's why it hits, like that character.
Yes,
it's like, I think we can all relate to the feeling of like being like an alien.
And in some way, it is a film that, like you said, made without trolls, is essentially about race.
Yeah.
It can be...
but it's also about culture, too.
Totally,
like, you know,
totally.
a Japanese person moving to this country for the first time.
Yeah,
like,
it's,
you know,
it's about all these things that normally are divisive, but because they are very close to looking like every other actor in the movie, it's not... I mean, I wasn't the whole time thinking, oh, this is a race film disguised as a troll film.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, this is just an indie human film.
Yeah.
I'm not thinking about the races at all. And then you dissect it later and you go, right.
Which is the cognitive estrangement.
Yes, immediate
Very
racism of her when she's working there. And yeah, it's a fascinating discussion piece, to say the least. I mean,
a couple, like, also like a story of ableism too. Our dad has a whole take on Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, where he's like, that's an ableist story where they ostracize this reindeer and then they find a practical capital use for him and indoctrinate him into their society as like a function of keeping that society continuing. And it's the same thing with this, where it's like they find a practical application for her persecution.
She is kind of like Rudolph. She's like the Rudolph of PSA.
Rudolph of trolls.
she does even, it's even the Rudolph of
PSA.
everything.
Yeah.
That's so interesting.
Shout out Andy Lawler.
Shout out Andy Lawler.
Shout out
Andy Lawler, literary analysis.
Father Lawler.
Literary analysis.
Breaking down Rudolph.
It's like he's watching the movie with us.
Okay, guys, why did you choose A Matter of Life and Death, the 1946? Is it the Archer Brothers film? Is that what you said?
They're not brothers. They're just the Archers.
So their filmmaking production company was called The Archers.
Oh, so they're just
Michael
two
Powell, Michael Powell and Emeric Pressburger.
Yeah,
Michael
they're
Powell
just two
and
boys.
Emeric Pressburger.
Sorry, one at a time. Michael Powell and
Emeric Pressburger.
and they have a company called The Archers.
Yes.
And they are also colloquially known as the Archers.
Colloquially.
Colloquially.
Sorry, you'll learn.
Unless colloquially is a colloquial term.
I was using the British vernacular.
It sounded like a Bugs Bunny type version.
I was using the British vernacular to meet them on their own terms.
Really?
That's how we say it in North Carolina.
Curriculumally. Colloquially.
But yeah, they made
known
the
as the
film.
Archers.
They're a duo who made 15 movies together, I think, before
Powell left.
Powell left. Powell is also the husband of Thelma Schoonmaker. Schumacher.
Martin Scorsese's longtime editor. And Martin Scorsese's biggest influence of all time is The Red Shoes, a film that Michael Powell and Emeric Pressburger made.
But this is one of their earlier films, and this movie is just sick as hell.
Yeah,
and that's why we picked it.
I mean, well,
we just picked it.
Yeah.
Well, actually, what happened is we gave you 3 choices.
And
That's
you
right.
picked it out of those 3.
And you guys picked it out. But
We picked them out of 3. So let's
talk
hear the
about
3.
why you picked.
Let's hear the 3 options.
We decided on Ambulance, the great Michael Bay masterpiece of 2022.
Great movie.
That's your favorite director?
MBLA
I
Ants.
just made that up just now.
Well, I'll go fuck myself then.
Is that your favorite director?
I was gonna share in a great moment with you, but I'll go fuck
I
myself.
was going to share a great jest with you, and now I'm no longer.
You wouldn't even
At the
understand.
altar of MBLA Ants.
But we did Ambulance, and then we did Catherine Bigelow's great popcorn masterpiece, Point Break. And then we chose A Matter of Life and Death. And then you guys chose.
That's right. We did choose A Matter of Life and Death. Why did you guys pick those 3? What was the decision behind the assortment?
And what does it say about us based on the movie we picked?
Well, MBLA Ants we picked that because it was about Los
He's been waiting
Angeles.
to drop that. He said it like 3 times now.
Dude,
and he
I
finally
only
got
found
y'all's attention, dude.
You know how in the Wikipedia
It
entry
worked.
it will say ambulance and then it'll have like parentheses stylized as? It should say that for that
and
movie.
the trailer's so funny because it's like California. It's like the weirdest cover of California Dreamin'
ever.
And then it starts. It's like
By like
it
a
starts
long-time
with
smoker
LA,
or something.
and then the ambulance letters
Like it
pop
comes up
in
rap.
lowercase
On the poster,
underneath.
the LA is in all caps. It is an LA movie.
Yeah, it is
So
an
that's
LA
why we
movie.
chose that one.
I think we chose them for 3 different reasons. I think Ambulance, at least my interpretation of it, Ambulance I think represents a corner of our fire, and the ways in which I think like Michael Bay, for all of his offset and onset behavior notwithstanding, the movies that comes out of that are very kinetic and very interesting and very and I think deserve to be analyzed in a way that they haven't been, because
Michael
I think
Bay
the
films?
consensus, the Michael Bay movies, right? Because I think that
Definitely.
they, they're mindless entertainment, and I think that there is something like a little bit more animating at work.
Michael, you're hearing opinions on this cast. Please
take
make note of who made each
the opinions
opinion,
of the guests do not necessarily reflect those of the creators.
That's that paralegal talk.
But I do think Ambulance was chosen for that reason, like the big bombastic filmmaking and the B-movie sensibility that I think Connor and I are really drawn to, and interrogating intellectually, and like to dissuade the ideas and the notions that like these movies are just made purely for mindless entertainment, right? And like,
and you're saying they're not.
No, that's what I was saying. Okay. Yeah, like in fact that they are more interesting, more intellectual, more animating.
Yeah.
And I think that
mindless entertainment is his vehicle for thematic conversation.
Exactly.
He knows
That's his
engaging.
cognitive disengagement. Was it? Cognitive estrangement.
Yeah,
Sure.
that's his buffer. He
Absolutely,
knows he's
in
making
the city of LA.
big, gigantic movies, but has a plethora of things to talk about and opinions to defend.
It's like have the big explosions, get everyone's attention, and then be like, oh, like the
but why is it exploding?
Yeah.
But we're not here to talk about MBLA.
But the reason why we chose Point Break is it's funny that like one of my other kind of like quote unquote fires is like the diametric opposition to fire in itself, which is water. And like how much I love the ocean.
Point Break.
And that's about the surfing. It's about surfing robbers, right? And like obviously, we've talked about it ad nauseum about how the ocean like means everything to me, and like is the only thing, one of the only things in my life that has allowed me to continue life through all of the troubles and all of the things that I've dealt with. Yeah. So that was the reason why that one was chosen. And then I think A Matter of Life and Death represents something
sick-ass movies.
It's sick-ass movies, of course, but again, it's about the immortality nature of it, right? Like it is about like the thing that we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
About how this is a movie from 1946 that feels so modern and feels so immortal and feels the pace is breathtaking. The way that the actors are doing it are breathtaking.
So funny.
The thematic ideas and what it's proposing you can do in the face of what you're forced to do.
Yeah.
Is so fascinating and so interesting. And then again, it's a North Star, right? Like in my opinion, when the Archers were on, there were not better directors of the 20th century than them.
They couldn't miss.
They absolutely
couldn't
couldn't.
miss.
That's why they call them Archers.
Because they always fucking hit the bullseye.
Exactly.
And yeah, A Matter of Life and Death. And it also represents the romantic sensibility too, that I find like, something that like at first glance maybe you don't see.
It just keeps going on, Jake.
Because
Keepers
of the Fire. Right?
It didn't like that ocean
that
talk,
fire.
dude. The fire was constant.
That's what it was. It did not like the ocean talk.
You should be conjuring other gods.
As soon as you said it.
Yeah,
All you gotta do is say ocean, and it'll spark one at you.
It's over.
Oh,
You're protected.
You're
dude.
protected, though.
Yeah, you're
And those
protected.
who started this flame.
But no, you meant it in jest.
I like that. Thank you for
But I think we also wanted to pick just a movie. On a baser level, we wanted to offer a movie from the 20th century.
Yeah.
That's my
Just
favorite
to do an
century.
older
Well,
one.
know,
I mean,
and-
Point Break is too, but
And
98?
I think,
97? No,
so
95.
I sent him the 3 images of the 3 films. I was excited when you sent these
Images or
3.
posters?
Well, I sent the
They're
letterbox.
images of posters.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know
Like-
they had those.
It's a photo that I screenshot
Actually, I
of the
screenshotted
photo
it. So
that was, well, I screenshotted your screenshot. So it's an image of the image of the poster.
it's screenception.
And then Journey gets that. And
Well,
he's
he gets, I take a video
of you screenshot.
of my screenshot of the screenshot,
Wow.
just so he can get another layer.
And then
Sure.
he can't
Yeah,
read
yeah.
or see anything.
That's it.
So it's
After
basically
zoom
a
in,
black
zoom
screen.
And so I sent him
It's
these
like a
3
Monet.
files and didn't really even say anything. Actually, I accidentally sent them straight back to Jake.
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
And Jake just put ha 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 ha. And my thought right away was like, What is Journey laughing at? What is he?
He thinks this is
Does
a
he think
game.
these are funny
We're not
movie
gonna watch
choices?
these
No, like
movies.
I was like, does he think these are
Movie's so
hilarious
fucking way
options? You know?
I'm not watching any of these.
Yeah, I was like,
there's
what's he
not
do-
one Transformers movie on this list, dude.
We're so
Not
close.
one superhero movie.
But so then I send him to Journey, and he hearts A Matter of Life and Death, which I already in my head was thinking, that's the one I'm going to vote for because we had talked about it a couple times.
Absolutely, yeah.
And it sounded really interesting.
Yeah.
And so, Journey, do you want to give us a quick little review about what happens in A Matter of Life and Death?
Yeah,
The
could you
archers?
communicate the plot of the movie to us?
It's a daunting task because like there's just the brains of these story writers is it's hard to follow. You know what I mean? It's like I felt like taking
You're more of a
mushrooms.
ones and
Ever feel
zeros
that
guy.
way when watching
Dollar
them?
signs guy.
Yeah, exactly. You know, I was like,
Where's the money?
what kind of merch is this gonna generate?
What kind of franchise can I build on this? No,
what kind
theme
of
park is going to want
Disneyland
this
theme park
ride.
is that? Right.
What
This
theme
is-
park wants this ride?
Yeah, they need like
It would be a cool ride though.
that
What would be the ride?
staircase.
The staircase?
staircase.
That was the
You
one
just
thing we
keep
kept
going
saying. We kept saying it was sick.
Dude, the ride's just an escalator.
It's at your local mall, actually. Yeah.
Like the plane crash scene in the beginning.
We do an immersive experience.
Jump out of the
What color are your eyes? They're beautiful. Why'd you give me a number, see? I'm going down fast in this plane. You're not going to be too much longer. What kind of lipstick you wearing, darling?
What does he do for me? Don't you get it? I want to go out my way. My way.
Everyone
your name?
talk like Nevin for the rest of the podcast.
Dude,
Oh,
one of our
dude.
favorite parts is I'll give a synopsis, but there's like this. He was such a like a little goofy character.
So funny,
There's
dude.
this scene that was very kind of like problematic, you know. So I wanted to make sure I held you two accountable for recommending this movie, where because what we recommended was like wholesome and very like straightforward. But there's this scene where like she's frozen in time because that's one of the concepts that can happen in this film is time gets frozen for everyone except the main character, and his guardian angel who's like this French guy.
Conductor
who eats frog
71.
legs. Yeah.
Conductor 71.
And
Marcus
so the
Goring.
girl's frozen. He's like, before I go, let me kiss her one more time. And then the guardian angel's like, she won't know you even kissed her. He's like, it doesn't matter. And
That's
we just
interesting.
wanted to emphasize that consent is always important, whether time's
And
frozen.
then there's
or not.
also this
Very true,
hilarious
very true.
moment before the synopsis of A Matter of Life and Death. There's this hilarious moment where
Yeah.
he's talking to the Frenchman from heaven.
Yeah,
The
Conductor
French
71.
Guardian Angel.
Conductor 71.
Played by the
Like-
amazing Marius Goring, who is
Amazing.
in a few of their other movies as
Yeah,
well.
And
He's taken off.
he's telling him like, you have to do this, you have to do that, and what about this place? And he's like, I've never been there. And he's like, oh no. And he goes, I've never been there. It just like doubles down.
He invents camp with that
Al
performance.
Pacino level
Well,
commitment
the
to a
most-
character, bro, but in the
Yeah,
most
yeah.
goofy,
It is
funny
a lot.
way.
One
They'll
of-
probably choose a stooge. It was just like so
like, that's
funny.
one
One of my,
You're right,
one
he
of my
invented
favorite,
camp.
One of my favorite moments in that entire movie is the iconic moment in that sequence when Conductor 71 goes down to Earth and it dissolves from black and white.
Heaven is black and white.
Isn't that
Technicolor.
so
Yeah, and then the
beautiful?
real world's in
and then it's in
Technicolor.
beautiful 3-strip Technicolor. And the archers, you watch The Red Shoes, you watch Black Narcissus, you watch this, the Colonel, the Life of Colonel
Masters
Blimp.
of color.
They make the most beautiful movies I've ever seen in my life. It's bar none the most vibrant, the most just lush colors that you've ever seen, and I'd love to talk about the decision to like switch black and white as heaven and color as the real world. But when Conductor 71 comes down to the real world and he looks directly into the camera. And he says, "We are star for Technicolor up there," and there's a reason why they put that in the movie.
Yeah, it's because
Like
at
it
the
was
time,
actually an inside joke between the production
Yeah,
and the
it
crew.
was
'cause-
like they're like Deadpool winking at the audience.
Yeah, literally. Because at the time, the U.S. and British armies had taken all of the Technicolor to make training videos to send to like different bases and different basic
World
training
War
places.
II was still
so there was a
ongoing.
9-month back order on Technicolor from like 41 to 45.
So
Wow.
when
And they were literally starved for Technicolor.
Wow.
Yeah.
I love that fact. Synopsis, you want to run it?
Yeah. Okay. So there's this
can't
this
wait to hear
guy.
this.
I know, dude. I can't wait to hear the movie he saw.
There's this what's the guy?
Not not the movie it is.
I was locked in the whole time, dude.
He was watching it while also on his phone.
So there's an Englishman, and nationality is a big thing in this movie.
Yes,
it's
it
just
is.
on the
It's a
top
big
of everyone's
deal.
mind.
Similar
right?
to
You
Border in many ways.
can't trust a
Similar to
Frenchman.
Border,
It's like
absolutely.
everything's like, yeah, an Englishman.
Yeah.
Bulgarian. And
Is there a Bulgarian?
No, but they could be.
They could
be.
They could have been easily. See, they hide in. And so he's in a plane, and it gets shot. Yeah, you don't see that part. You know, the movie just starts and the plane's on fire, and there's only one other guy in the plane with him. He's already dead. You know, you just see him. He's like fish
But
out of
before
water.
that, it starts in space.
Does it?
Yeah, there's a narrator
Okay.
who takes us
Bring
through
that
space in the universe and talks about
Oh, you're
how
right.
small we are.
It's like a little mini episode of Cosmos for
Yeah,
Absolutely.
the
yeah.
first 5 minutes. He's like, look, see that there? That's a star cluster.
And you know what's crazy?
Exactly.
Richard Attenborough is in the movie.
Richard Attenborough's in the movie.
as
Is he
one of
really?
the dead bodies in the plane.
Wow.
But he is not the
Before he
narrator.
became
He's
Sir Richard Attenborough.
He's not Bob.
Yeah.
He's not a
No,
George Codd.
The narrator, I think, is James.
Do you know who Richard
something,
Attenborough
maybe?
is?
From the nature documentaries?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was really good.
Nice.
Let's go. They trying to get you on the spot.
Nice. I don't know who that
For a
is.
second, I
Doesn't
thought I
speak.
completely had the wrong person.
I don't know
and it
who
just like
it is,
sounded
is why I
similar.
asked. And you were like, yeah, and I was like, you know
He's
also?
he's one of the
I'm a big
he's
fan.
one of the most famous
You don't know
voices
Richard
of the 20th
Attenborough?
century.
No, dude, I gotta look him
Yeah,
up.
he is
Now
the
you
voice.
look
You've heard
at
him.
the square.
You don't know you've heard him, but you've heard him.
The square
You ever
is
see
not gonna
Ocean
make
or
it to
Planet
it.
Earth?
Yes, that's him.
That's him.
Yeah, I love that guy.
Love that guy.
There's no better.
He
there's no better
lulled me to
documentary
sleep in
than-
history, in his geography class all the
Yeah.
time.
Best ambient ever is Richard Attenborough's voice for
Planet Earth were the best naps I've ever had in high school.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Vocal melatonin.
Okay,
so you were
and
saying,
then
yeah,
the
after
plane
the
is shot
space
down.
intro,
So the
it's
plane
going
gets shot
down.
down
Dude's
after the
dead.
voyage through space, but so as the plane's going down, though, he calls in to base, like the local air station, which happens to be an American base, and there's this little, beautiful starlit woman,
Played by the lovely Kim Hunter, June.
so lovely. And she kind of has like that, classic like 1950s like glow, like very, like.
I love the way they shot starlets back then.
Yeah.
I love the
just
way they
that-
shot them.
That aura they
We
captured.
used to care about lighting.
Bring them back.
Yeah.
Bring it back.
No.
And during that phone call, it's kind of like the dialogue we were paraphrasing before, where like they quickly kind of have like this chemistry right off the bat. This guy is definitely a ladies' man. This isn't his first rodeo.
He says,
rodeo.
I've been with many women. He's like, I've been with many women. I've loved some of them. But it's fitting that I would end up loving you. I want to fall in love with you. Tell me more about you.
If I had 5 more seconds.
You'll be the last woman to hear my voice.
Well, and that's the thing. They're falling in love as
Yeah.
he's going to his
As
death.
he's falling.
Which is a
Yeah.
great time. It's never too
Yeah.
late. So I think it's kind of like an inspirational message. Some people go their whole lives like, I'm never going to fall in love. It could happen in your last 30 seconds.
Hold out.
So true, Johnny.
Hold out, bro.
Don't give up. It could happen during a plane
It's not
crash.
over till it's over.
But miraculously, okay. Well, I don't want to mess up like how the story is told. So then,
No, I think you say it how you remember it.
Okay,
It's
so-
the best way, dude.
so
Whatever
miraculous-
you remember in
We'll jump
whatever
in.
order,
yeah,
dude.
yeah.
I
So
want to know.
feel free to jump in. Okay, so miraculously he doesn't die, even though he jumps out. He has to jump out of the plane with no parachute because he got shot up when the plane was attacked. And so, but if he stays in the plane, he's for sure gonna die. So he just thinks like, maybe there's a 1 in a million chance if I jump out, like, I'll land in somewhere where I don't die. But lo and behold, he walks out completely unscathed. He just wakes up floating in the ocean, and he walks onto the beach, starts disrobing because he's a little disheveled in his fighter
And I
pilot.
think
Scene is
he's dead.
awesome.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
think-
Scene,
yeah,
that
that's right.
beautiful
That
walk.
one.
It is
That was the
gorgeous.
That was the first scene
Wow.
they shot. Was that stuff on the beach?
Perfect.
yeah,
I could tell.
Gorgeous.
Yeah.
Gorgeous.
And yeah, he thinks he's dead. He thinks he's in heaven. He's like, where do I check in around here?
Yeah, dude, he literally does.
And dude, this is another thing I wanted to talk to you guys about. So then he walks, the first person he finds.
Oh my god, that was so weird, dude.
That was weirder than our movie.
This is as weird.
That
Well,
one
it's
scene.
probably a similar. You know what I mean? It's getting into a similar problem.
Kidding into it. There's a Venn
The
diagram
first
here
thing he
between
walks
these two
up
movies.
on
Is a naked boy.
is the naked little boy on the
Like a
beach.
naked 6-year-old
We
boy.
assume he confuses for like a cherub or something.
That's I think the intention.
Yeah.
Is that like the
A baby
cherub-
angel?
Yeah.
Yeah, baby angel.
Baby angels, dude. Yeah.
Like I think that's why that.
So that was like another.
So it's
little,
just
like,
a
nod.
funny nod that
It's
they're
just
like,
he still thinks he's in heaven.
heaven.
Dude, whose idea was that on set? Like, hey guys, let's put this little Easter egg in there.
Trust me,
Play along with
people
the theme.
will get it.
What's a way we could like kind of simulate he'll still think he's in heaven? And then some guy's like, a naked 6-year-old. Like,
A naked 6-year-old.
There's no other thing they could have just like someone playing the harp or something. Like they could have had like a different heaven
it doesn't
motif.
really sell it.
Playing a harp on the beach would be kind of sick, though.
And so then he learns somehow that he's not dead. I think he runs into.
He runs into June on the beach.
Yeah, June is the name of the plane operator radio on the lady on the radio.
Woman that he fell in love with on the radio.
Yeah, and so he runs into her. He's like, "You must be June."
Jake is filling in every expositional line, and then he just gets to the dialogue. And he sees her and goes, "You must be June."
Cassie said, "You see, it's me. I thought I was a goner for sure." I do wear a love daughter, kiss me. And
I don't think any of these lines are in the
None of them.
No, this is the movie Journey song.
This is what Journey
saw.
Yeah, it was close. If it's not exactly verbatim, it's close.
It's close. It's close. And then we go to heaven.
And then they go to heaven. The scene goes to heaven.
Yes.
And there's his friend who died in the plane with him, who you just saw dead at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
His name is Bob. In the beginning of the movie, he's in heaven, and he's just like sitting in the lobby of heaven. Heaven has a waiting room, apparently.
He's waiting. Is like,
just keep waiting.
my homie's supposed to be here.
Until eventually he's like loitering, you know? Like I watched a lot of like body cam footage. It kind of like started off like one of those. Like, yeah, they had to come like approach him. They're like trespassing him, essentially. They're like, you have to you have to get going. And this guy's just sitting there. He's like, I can't get going. My buddy, I'm sure he's dead. Because he thinks that he's like, there's no way my friend who's just in the plane with me, he didn't have a parachute. For sure he's dead. Like, and they're like, no, we never make mistakes here. You know, it's like heaven's like ran like an Apple
It's a
store.
bureaucracy, yeah.
Well, yeah, it's
very austere.
Exactly. And I think that they make a beautiful decision.
Yeah.
And a very simple decision, but a very beautiful one, that heaven is in black and white. And that everything on earth is in Technicolor.
Right.
And they create heaven to be a bureaucracy, that you're waiting at the DMV to get selected.
Yeah.
Get your wings.
It is such, and it's so thematically aligned with what this movie is about, that I find really fascinating. But
Can I
Yeah,
finish the
okay.
synopsis now?
Yeah, go ahead.
So his homie's waiting. He says there's a mistake. They say no, there ain't.
Yeah.
There hasn't been one in 1,000 years. He goes, so there can be mistakes, see? And so then, what was his name? Officer 71?
Conductor 71.
Conductor 71, who was meant to catch the man falling out of the plane and bring him to heaven, actually missed him.
Yeah.
And
He's
it
like a
was a
French
mistake
Grim Reaper.
after all. He's
Yeah.
the French guy.
Yeah.
And longer story shorter, he goes down, he's tasked with, you have to go tell him you made a mistake and bring him back to heaven. He's like, sure.
Yeah.
Goes down, freezes time while he's on a date with June in the forest, kind of like Border. And he basically lets him know in this fantastical, beautiful French way, yeah, I messed up, you got to come with me.
Yeah.
And this guy, what's his name, Nevin?
The main character?
In the movie, it's
Peter.
Peter.
And David Niven is the
David
actor.
Niven is the
David
actor.
Niven is
So
the actor.
Peter, he says, what? No, I see, the thing is, I've fallen in love, and that's your fault, and I should be able to stay. You see, I have something to live for. And so now it becomes
wants an
a
appeal.
literal case of the cosmos between heaven and Peter, who thinks he should stay, and it's not his fault. He fell in love during the time he was gifted.
Yeah.
They claim borrowed, gifted by the mistake of the heavens. And so now there is a literal court case up in the heavens.
And concurrently at Earth, they think that he's just fucking crazy.
That's right, and there's
so
a
they
doctor.
bring in the amazing Roger Livesley,
Yes.
who plays the doctor.
And they're trying to get to the bottom of his neurosis.
Who was also very close to June.
Yeah, that was strange.
They had a lot of chemistry.
Yeah.
You know, it's
We were
kinda-
confused for a little
they
bit.
played the ping pong.
For
which
sure,
is
but even
incredible.
before that, we were
We-
confused for a little bit. Is this
Yeah,
is
she's, like,
this
laughing, like,
his
putting her fingers
girlfriend?
on his
And
chest.
she's like, I
I
found
think
the
it was.
man.
I think it was more of like a patriarchal relation. Like
Yes,
he was
yes,
certainly more
of
of a
course,
father
of
figure.
course.
I think that's what they're going for.
It's
That's
a
what
different
Journey
time.
saw, though.
It's a different
That's
time.
not the movie Journey saw.
I thought it was gonna be like a rivalry, like a love rivalry.
Yeah,
You know?
kind of like
This is-
Challengers.
Yeah, yeah.
This was challengers.
I thought he was just
Challengers
gonna, like, he was
of the
gonna give like the
40s.
guy like a lobotomy. He's like, oh, he's got that. See,
Yeah.
the guy was
Now you're all mine.
shot a stick through his
Um,
eyes,
and then by the end,
Love wins out.
love wins again, and they deem
In a
that she
moment-
truly does love him.
In a
and
moment
he
that
truly
always makes
loves
you
her.
cry, when they win the case and he comes back, and he wakes up in the hospital bed after the operation that has been done in on Earth to
Oh, yeah.
cure his neuroses.
Yeah.
They both, because they were both
In the
sent
case.
to heaven during
Yeah.
the court case, and then they come back, and then David Niven says, "We won," and then Kim Hunter looks at him and starts to cry and says, "I know."
I know.
And then it ends, and it's
Yeah.
just like, oh, like
Yeah.
yeah.
that's what movies are
Yeah,
about.
because they say
Yeah.
this interesting thing that nothing is more powerful than the law.
Yeah.
But then the law, the staircase stops, and it's
Yeah.
like love. And they were saying in
Yeah.
heaven, nothing is more powerful than the law, but here on earth,
Yeah.
love is the most powerful
Well,
thing
and
of all.
I think like to that point, the beautiful decision to make heaven black and white and life in Technicolor is that heaven was not a drab place. It was gorgeous. The matte paintings that they did and like
Yeah, the miniature
and people
work.
found it to be pretty comforting, right? To be welcomed into that waiting room by the angels.
They were all
and
excited.
looking down-
Everyone was
Everyone's
dying with
upset
and they were all
stoked.
looking down into the records room and they were like, oh,
Wow.
this seems like heaven to me. You know, it's just like,
yeah, checks out.
and I think that like, that's a broader sense, and we've only gotten more bureaucratic and more like, more organizational, I think, in a way, as time has went on, where there is a comfort to process. There is a comfort to organization. There is a comfort to bureaucracy. That there are people that you do not know that are taking care of your driver's license, or taking care of your health care, or taking care of all these things. And then to be welcome into the space like that, where literally looking down at all of the souls that heaven is taking count of, that you are taken care of as well. That you are a part of this process. And it is inviting. But
That place leaves no room for love.
there is no love there. There is only order, there is only process, and there is only getting you from point A to point B as quickly and as efficiently as possible. There is no room for discovery, because nothing can be discovered, because a mistake has never been made in 1,000 years. There is no room for love. There is no room for color. And all of that is reserved for the life that you live down here.
Right.
And I think it's like, because obviously, so much of many religions that believe in an afterlife, believe in a heaven, that you live your life in service of your ability to earn your ticket to go to to go to paradise.
Yeah.
And the simple idea that paradise is not up there,
Yeah.
that is merely a second stage of your existence, amalgamated by some sort of processes, divine processes that you don't understand.
Divine judgment.
But paradise is down here.
Yeah.
And it's messy and it's sad and people can die. People can leave your life.
Yeah.
But there is an astonishing amount of color in that life should you choose to see it. And I think it's just,
Yeah.
it's amazing.
I hear what you're saying, Jake.
Yeah.
Paradise is right here by
Absolutely.
the fire with your
It's
buddies.
not in heaven. Turns out heaven, not all it's cracked up to be.
Heaven?
Yeah.
A lot of rules,
Heaven's right here.
a lot of spreadsheets, a lot of numbers.
There's something I texted Connor. but
Really
you
quick,
guys
I
keep
want to
going.
say, I think this is an amazing conversation. It's a good moment for a stoke break. So if you're at
To stoke
home
the
listening,
Yeah.
do you need water?
How you doing?
Do you need a stretch?
Check
do you
in with
need to
yourself.
change your environment?
Do you need to change
Take
your
your own
cat's litter
stoke break.
box?
Listen to the flame for a little bit, and we'll be right back, continuing our conversation about a matter of life and death by the Archers.
Absolutely.
Be right back.
See you.
Well,
Wow, good stoke break.
good stoke break.
Good stoke
Really
break.
good
Stoke
stoke
break.
break.
Great stoke break.
Absolutely.
But
Almost
I
forgot what we
was
were doing.
conflicted taking it because I was so excited to finally get into the review of A Matter of Life and Death.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hilarious protagonist.
A very funny protagonist.
I could watch him for another 10 hours. I
Oh,
loved
he's
him
so
so
much.
His
much.
dialogue,
Everything, yeah.
the British style of how they'd like like they take pauses within their lines, not outside of their lines. They bite every line in that kind of British style of acting.
Could
like,
you give us an
so
example?
It's so snappy.
How does that
well,
sound?
Johnny, I don't know. Why don't we have a
forget.
conversation and you get on me 1, 2, 3, go, go, go.
Okay, yeah.
And see that pause right there? See, that is why I personally don't work with Americans. Because you know what they do? They fuck my shit up.
But that scene in the recreation room when the doctor, Roger Livesley, is diagnosing.
Oh, and they're going back and forth?
And they're going back and forth.
Yeah.
Oh, it's just, they're sword fighting.
They're sword fighting.
It's a boxing match.
Doing,
It's
Gosh,
wonderful.
who's an equivalent that does that right now? Who have we seen?
I don't think we write dialogue
that?
like
I
No,
don't
that.
think
but
the world has ever seen
there's
another
definitely.
one.
I think we saw a movie recently
Impossible.
where we saw two people and we were like, that was like, oh, you know, the equivalent I would think of, but it's not the same style of sword fighting. Is that scene between Pacino and De Niro in Heat?
Oh,
What's a normal life? Ball games and
that's
whatever.
the American
That's
style.
the American
where
style
it's
of the
so
sword
opposite.
fighting. It's so
I mean, the
interesting.
closest thing that I think we have on the American is like
It's
the
not-
early
not
Sorkin stuff,
theatrical.
right? Like you know the social networks, your Moneyballs, you know your
Yep,
Steve
yep,
Jobs,
yep.
like that is I think the closest style. But again, like you watch these older films, the Billy Wilder movies, the Archer movies, and Billy Wilder's obviously
Screwball
like an
comedies,
Austrian
yeah.
filmmaker, but he made movies in America. Howard Hawks movies, for example, like His Girl Friday is a perfect example of sort of like the rat-a-tat, like bullet kind of style of dialogue. Philadelphia Story, when we saw that, very similar. When we went to the Academy Museum to see that.
That's right.
With Jimmy Stewart and Cary Grant and God, I forgot the woman in that.
I forget the
Of course
names.
you do.
I'm not.
Of course you do.
Brutal.
Damn, brother.
Not only is it a thing of the time to make movies that way and writing that dialogue.
Hepburn, which
Hepburn.
was it? Catherine.
Yeah,
that's
the
right.
American.
Love Catherine Hepburn.
But it requires you to be entertained by these people so you'll fall in love with them. Yeah. If you don't fall in love with him in those first 10 minutes, neither does Kim Hunter.
No.
You know, and if you aren't entertained by Goring's performance, then that coming out of like this bureaucratic kind of like oppressive heaven that they create, you're not going to believe that any of this fallacy could
also
happen
if-
where they'd make a mistake.
If Goring isn't entertained by Niven, if Conductor 71 isn't entertained by Peter, then none of it works either, because ultimately, you know, Conductor 71 ends up like helping to facilitate his opportunity for
a
freedom.
Frenchman who
you know?
hates the
It's all about really, can he make every single person fall in love with him? Because
The
they're
way
like,
that he
June,
did.
Yeah.
June.
do
exactly.
you even love him?
Yeah.
And she's
Yeah.
like, I will take his place
Yeah.
in
Right.
death.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
that was cool.
the American is like, well, they're in love, you know?
Yeah,
Like,
he's
Yeah.
pissed. He's like,
I can't say anything.
Yeah, he loves her.
just like
long,
right
for
away,
long.
he just forfeited.
Yeah, he was like, that kid clearly in love.
Fine then. I guess that is
And
true.
then
love.
there's should we talk about the nationality aspects?
Yeah,
of
I think
it
we
too?
have to.
I think we have to.
And
right?
we have to
You know?
understand that this movie came out impossibly
A
in
year.
1946.
A year after the war.
And they transport in these courtroom scenes. I mean, the kind of celestial like Rock of Eternity they're on is filled with people, but it's also filled with soldiers. So it's this time where there's all this pain and grief in the world, and the movie is transporting all of that pain and grief into the fact that love conquers all, that love is the redeeming quality. It is the purpose of being alive in a world where death is so easily accepted.
Right.
All of these men excited to get their wings, but also these men died in service of this war. And now they are beholden to a court file where it's like, is it more important to follow these ancient celestial rules that we don't even know who wrote, or to hold up your responsibility to the person you love?
And to look at a fellow soldier, a fellow man who, you know, may be different culturally, who
Maybe
may be
you fought
different,
against.
different racially even, you know, and like, but to see that animating characteristic that, like, you know, he has not slid into the bureaucratic comfort yet because he has rejected it. He has rejected it.
Literally never there.
He's never there. And because they made a mistake, he has chosen to live the life that he's lived and fallen in love with this woman that he's fallen in love with.
Yeah, get on him.
And there is the inspirational, aspirational quality that the other soldiers feel.
They climb
to that, right?
down out of heaven into color to finally talk to the two of them. I'm not 100% sure if he ever is even at his court in the kind of courtroom expansive
He's
place
not there until they.
He's not there until they go down.
They go down to talk to him.
They go down the stairs and they like.
Because Roger Livesley's character is
they're
speaking on
looking
his
at the
behalf.
surgery. They talk to Kim Hunter. Like they have to go out of that place back into a world of color.
But the British-American thing is so interesting, and it's such an essential part of the last 30 minutes of the movie.
The fact that they fall in love despite the fact that they're not the same.
It's that, but also like the actual court case itself, like
the fact that they retain their personalities in heaven and
who
retain their
heaven
biases.
hires or appoints to convict David Niven's character,
a global
Peter.
representative.
It's a man who hates America.
It's an American,
who hates British.
Was one of the first to die.
The first to die. The first to be hit by a British bullet.
In the American Revolution. So similar to Conductor 71's character is obviously out of time in a very interesting way.
Which they talk about when they play the president.
Absolutely. The American judge is also out of time and comes to this case in 1946 with all these recently deceased soldiers, and there's also like older deceased soldiers as well there, but with his own notions about the British Empire, about how they brutalized the American people.
To make that sense out of every single person in the world. They say you cannot find a person in this world who is not British who does not hate the British.
Exactly.
At a time where the British are being celebrated for refuting the Nazis. Like the British are the heroes of this story, and they pause their movie to say there's not a man on earth who doesn't hate the British.
And
they go through like a list, like this laundry list of all these wars.
And then there's that incredible moment when they expunge the jury or remove the jury and then replace
to bring in this idea of
all
Americans.
Of Americans.
Yeah, that part
and
is
the
cool.
Americans that they choose are all immigrants.
Or they're all minorities or whatever.
Except the last guy.
Except the last guy.
Except the last guy that
represents Journey.
My hand on his head. I'm just white American.
It's fascinating to make a movie in 1946
and comment like that.
To not only to comment like that, but also to understand what the ostensible American ethos has always been. That in the face of an empire, these people fought. And they fought for their freedom. They fought for the right to have a country. And then obviously, I think like the real ugly, brutal history of America is that it is not, the beautiful American dream where everyone comes to make it. Like people were brought here in chains to build this country. But the idea and the everlasting American dream that has been so iconic, and especially during World War II, when after Pearl Harbor, after years of not intervening in the war, America swoops in and becomes the guardian angels like they were in World War I.
Yeah, and it's all about timing.
And it's like
true. Anyone will tell you.
And it's just such a fascinating. It's such a fascinating cultural point to have British filmmakers or European filmmakers with very British sensibilities center the opposition as an American. But also the people that find Peter and June find them in love are Americans, but they're American immigrants, which I find to be really fascinating.
A British man, and even with all that denouncement of British or uplifting of a certain American identity, these two people can still fall in love. Yeah. And this is a time that is so sensitive that they had to change the name of the movie to release it because they could not release a movie with the word death in the title. This movie was released under the name A Stairway to Heaven because they could not release a movie with the name Death in the title because people are so sensitive to the war. But this movie is completely about that war. Yeah. It's really interesting.
And
very good movie.
There was something I texted Connor that I want to share that I think maybe comes back full circle to even like what I was talking about with what I wanted to release and like, the broader things about the movie, is that we are so terrified of error, and through technological innovation and our continued reliance on it to dissolve errors in our daily life, we are also eradicating the opportunity for chance. Carter found the love of his life due to a routing error. Imagine what else could have happened, could still happen, if we gave ourselves the opportunity to fail. And I really think that that's what this movie's all about, you know, is that their failure led to this.
Yeah.
You know, it led to a heavenly reckoning.
Yeah.
But it also led to love and the earthly realm, which I think is just so beautiful.
Yeah,
You know?
it goes back to one of the tenets I've heard across like multiple ideologies, but something that I definitely rest my laurels on or my heart on, that all things, if you choose to believe it, all things are always happening for you.
Yeah.
Like it is all conspiring for your greater good. And to take that lesson from that movie and apply it to any part of your life, sometimes it feels like your life is falling apart.
Absolutely.
And people will be like, no, it's actually falling into place.
Yeah.
And you have to let go of an old version of something to give into the new. Or you have to accept that the failure has caused something that now deserves life.
Yeah.
So your life falls apart and it turns you towards this other direction. And you're like, oh, had that not happened, had I gotten that job there, had I gotten that role there, had I not had that experience with this person, then this other beautiful thing wouldn't be happening.
Absolutely.
There was no opportunity. Do you know, I heard it recently, bubble wrap was originally textured wallpaper.
Oh, really?
And it didn't sell. It didn't sell. It was
Wait,
It
really?
was originally wallpaper.
That's crazy.
Textured wallpaper, and it wasn't until I think Microsoft needed to ship supplies or some technology company.
And they just wrapped it
They're
up.
like,
They
we can use
needed
this.
something,
Yeah.
and they decided to use bubble wrap.
Wow.
Wallpaper, textured wallpaper,
Yeah.
and now it's
Yeah.
called bubble wrap.
That's crazy.
You
Isn't
could
that
still
crazy?
use it as wallpaper,
So it
which
was a
is
fit-
exciting to think about. It's not like that's off the
Please
table.
forget flowers, man.
Yeah,
exactly.
Textured
Bubble wrap.
wallpaper,
I save
man.
my flower money to spend it on
but I-
bubble wrap.
A failure turned into
And I
life.
love what you're talking about too, because the Archer specifically, and specifically Michael Powell, whose career was ended off of a horrible failure.
Which failure was that?
He made this movie called Peeping Tom in 1960. That was
Okay, I'm intrigued.
It was about like a serial killer who would basically record like early stages, like photograph his
You
victims.
do like snuff films.
Yeah.
Yeah, he would
basically.
create snuff films of his victims.
Okay, well, it's a controversial
And
part.
it was, but it was released in 1960 and it was so transgressive at the time that it ended his career. He could not make movies in England anymore. He could not make movies of the
were
same
like, "You've
caliber with the
crossed the
same.
line."
No, they literally were like,
He
"You
got
made something
blacklisted.
evil," and he got blacklisted. And now
That's the controversial part.
I think
Blacklisted
that's
for
overreacting.
expressing
We
his
all learn a little
opinions.
something
I think
from
he was
that.
just ahead of his time. He was just doing a little horrorcore.
Well, and to your
That's
point-
your guys'
to your point, but to your point though, he was ahead of his time because
Yeah.
like that movie
It's
has
cinephile.
that movie has become an incredible point of reference for filmmakers like Brian De Palma, for Martin Scorsese, for all these people, and now it has been rediscovered and reanalyzed and reheralded as a true blue masterpiece. And like in the wake of that abject failure that ruined this man's life, that ruined his ability to do the thing that he loved,
Right.
Yeah.
where
We
he
now
thought that
have.
it was all over, like he lived to I think he lived to 1988 or 1990. So I think he was around that. He was still alive when the reclamation happened, and I'm so grateful that he was.
Yeah.
Because to watch, to watch De Palma do his thing and Martin Scorsese do his thing,
And his wife
and Thelma, being able to connect Michael Powell and Martin Scorsese, and Scorsese, who is like, in many ways a spirit of their, a descendant of their filmmaking style, can look him in the eye and says, no, that failure was not a failure. It changed my life. And it's the same thing I would be remiss if we didn't, I always love to talk about the Great Babylon, the Damien Chazelle movie that came out a few years ago. And the scene that sticks with me the most is the scene between Gene Smart and Brad Pitt, where she's describing how he will be immortal in the wake of this.
I love that
And
scene.
I return to that scene as much as I can, and I think it's a good touchstone and kind of closing point for this discussion too, like how we started, right? Is that like the things that we make, the things that we pursue, whether it's film or other things, or bubble wrap, right?
Whatever it may be.
Whatever we
make that.
decide to put into this world, whether we can assess it as a failure or a success means nothing to how it will be, can be, and quite possibly should be in some circumstances received by the public. And, you know, once you make something, it's not yours anymore.
For sure.
You know,
and it's not complete until you give it away.
Exactly.
A movie no one sees is not a movie that is ever fully made.
Absolutely.
You know, the audience, to me and to Jake, is a part of our filmmaking process.
Yeah.
There's a quote, one of the first things I learned in film school, you make a movie 3 times, you write it, you shoot it, you edit it. You make a movie a 4th time when it's watched.
Yeah. It would be kind of cool, though, just like make Scarface and keep it to yourself.
Keep that in your back pocket.
Keep watching.
You have a couple of those, right?
Well,
You have a
like
couple of
your
in-house
friends, at least.
masterpieces.
Yeah. Like, no one knows. I'm so sick, dude.
Actually, the fucking greatest filmmaker of all time.
Discover me when I'm dead, like Picasso, dude.
Well, they actually, Vivian Mayer, who's a great, one of my favorite photographer ever, I think.
Yeah.
Did that, actually.
Good for
She
her.
was a photographer. She was a nanny for like a long time, and she took pictures of herself, or
I remember
she
this.
took like portraits and she took pictures of other people for decades. And no one discovered her work until, I think, 6 months before she passed.
Yeah.
And now she's kind of been reanalyzed as like a great master and all these things. But like, that's another thing too, right? Is that like, you know, sometimes you make it for yourself, and then because you have willed it into being, other people will find it, you know, and celebrate it.
And then you can monetize it.
And then that's where you make the money.
That's when the
You
videos come
got
in.
your money, your mind on the money, my friend.
And then,
Someone has to.
first
got
you
his
just do it
mind
for
on
yourself and the love of it, but then later you make a plan and release it. You profit.
This was her plan all along, actually.
I just did it for fun.
Wow. So, is there anything you guys are excited that you're working on now that you're allowed to talk about? I know tomorrow, Jake, you also do stunt doubling. Tomorrow you're going to be a stunt double for something.
Yeah.
Is tomorrow going to be mostly like football-related stunts?
I think it'll probably be football stuff.
Football-related stunts.
Football stunts?
Yeah.
I think just
All right, be
put 'em in a
careful up
box.
there.
Since I got out here, I've kind of off and on been doing stunt doubling as well. You guys know that, but
This guy can't leave the gridiron.
I can't leave it.
Sure.
It won't ever
The
leave
gridiron
me.
keeps calling him back, dude.
But in terms of stuff we're working on, like I can't say too much about one thing, but I have this project with these great producers that I love deeply, and I'm so grateful to be working with them. And we have a director on board, and I think we're hoping to get an actor on it soon.
Wow.
And that's a really exciting thing. And then I'm working with another great director on something else that we're co-writing together, and he's a very generous, talented guy. And then for our stuff, you know, I think like,
I mean, it's been a while, you know.
Yeah,
since
we haven't-
I
we
was in
haven't-
school. Jake's obviously had these opportunities pop off, which have been really awesome to see. But we haven't had like a script under. I mean, our hands are all over our stuff for sure.
absolutely.
Like, I think you could see Jake on like every page of anything I've made.
And vice versa. For
But
Connor.
it's probably been like, I think 2020 was the last time we wrote a script that had like both our names on it.
And I think that
And we're getting back to it pretty soon, actually.
what I'm most excited about going into this is the opportunity to do that again, officially, in an official capacity, right? Because, you know, you send us, you know, you've done it all the time, right? You know, you get a script, you take notes on it. You know, we've worked together on our own stuff about it. But there's a difference between reading a script and giving feedback or giving notes or giving any type of substantial, you know, comments on anything versus actually writing it together and generating the idea together. You know, we've done that before, and
Being in the room.
and doing that from the ground up in a way in which it isn't just Connor reads the first 50 pages of whatever I've written, change this looks good, but we're building that together, I think, is what we're excited about for sure.
I'm very excited to see what you guys built together. Obviously, I'm a big fan of your writing, and when I first met you, Jake, and then you told me about Connor, this younger savant brother you have, who is like a wizard as well at storytelling.
Thanks, man.
I was so excited because I, at the time, was manifesting for myself an equivalent director on the rise. And I'd said to myself, director or directing duo, because it was like a thing that was starting to happen, that I could rise at the same time with. I remember like consciously writing these things down, thinking these things over. Like, it would be cool to meet a director like De Niro working with Scorsese for Taxi Driver early in their careers, you know, and that being things that catapulted them, and then they continued working together.
Absolutely.
Because if a director really loves an actor and sees the brilliance in them, and they write for them,
that's going to be the best performance their writing will receive.
Absolutely.
And it's also going to be the best writing that actor can receive to perform.
Yeah.
So it'll be his best performance personally.
Yeah.
And the best movie he would ever be in.
Absolutely.
So it would just elucidate the brilliance of both and sort of multiply that. And I was already consciously like, I really would love that. That would be so interesting to meet at this age in LA, And then lo and behold, we meet and I hear about your brother and I'm like, whoa, I wonder. And then I read your stuff and I realize, oh, I would love to act in this role or that role. I love this movie. And it became sort of that. I mean, we've gotten to see that in each other's careers grow.
To tell a quick story of my own is like, the moment that I knew that you were a great actor, and I've told you the story a few times, but we were going to direct this. We were going to do a short called Sunset Cafe that I think we hope to do at some point in some capacity. But you and your father were going to be like kind of the co-leads of the story, but you were going to be the lead of the story. And I'd obviously seen your directorial work, and then like I knew that I think you had just done King Richard.
Yes.
You had just come off of it.
I had just done
but
King
I hadn't
Richard.
seen that yet.
Sure.
And, I think we had maybe taped a few things with Till, but it wasn't any like actually
nothing
being
serious,
able to,
nothing
to watch
like
it.
with me.
But when we started talking about Sunset Cafe in an official capacity, there was a moment when Till and I were still living together, and we were kind of like, because Till was also going to be in the movie as well.
That's right.
Oh yeah.
You started. We told you a little bit about the character of Carlisle and kind of like what we would expect or what we would think about what this character would be, and then you just kind of took that and ran with it, and you were just kind of riffing and like doing all these like and you were doing it jokingly, right? Like there wasn't a real intention of like severity or substance, but great actors don't necessarily need to imbue that because you already have that, and that was kind of the first moment that I knew. They're like, oh, he's not just a great friend or like, even a great director.
Right.
But he is a great artist in the acting sense. And the opportunity for like, us to do our thing and collaborate with you in that capacity, I think is another thing that is just like, and we've talked about the next ideas that we would be up and coming that like would be able to make that happen. And it just, I think it's incredibly exciting.
I'm so excited. Thanks for that.
When did you realize I was a great actor?
When you did that. When you did that accent just now.
Yeah, when you did that.
I think this kid's got it.
My joke. Sick, dude. Thanks.
I'm so impressed because I remember feeling like, okay, maybe we'll ground floor this and we'll make like shorts together, which we were gonna do, and then go on from there.
Yeah.
And then as soon as we basically lock in and decide, hey, should we just like do this thing? You write badass shit. We help each other with the creative process. I'll act in it. We'll make awesome, fun movies. Yeah, let's do that. As soon as we decide to do that, our careers completely separately take off.
Absolutely.
Boom, 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 boom. We're both like busier than ever, working on bigger things than we've ever worked on.
Yeah.
And the whole time we're like, well, I guess we can wait a little bit because after this it'll be easier to make our thing. It's like, yeah, I guess we should.
Yeah.
And then another thing, and it's exciting because it does seem like we're coming into a point now where they cross again, and it's like, hey, we
Now
can
you're
finally
keeping the fire.
we can finally make these projects we've been talking about for years.
I mean, and we're feeling it. Like there's a harmonious collision that is like going to happen, right? And I think that's such an
that's so exciting.
Yeah.
You can definitely feel it.
It's so unique.
It's in the air.
It's so unique.
It's in the air.
It's in the air, like Phil Collins.
Feeling
Dude.
this glaze. Crazy.
Man, guys, dude, bros. It's so nice to go from doing hill sprints and stair workouts with you guys, like Journey was saying, to then getting to sit around the fire and talk about love and talk about movies and the purity of that.
I don't think we talked enough about love, but next time we can go.
Next time we'll get more into it.
Next time when we have the Lover Boys on the pod.
Yeah, we can do a whole episode on love, dude. The Doctors of Love.
Yeah, it's been great. There's some things I didn't even know about your movie journeys to get you here.
I feel like I learned more about you two in the last couple hours than I have in the last couple of years.
For the 4 months you've known me?
I'm like, who are these guys? Yeah.
These guys are an enigma.
These guys are not who I thought.
These guys
are actually way fucking worse.
These guys are not who I invited.
This is who I thought I invited on the podcast, dude. They say don't meet your heroes, dude.
Yeah, we're gonna scrap this whole episode, actually.
Right. Jake was a really big guest for Journey. Jake was a big
Journey's rankings have changed.
Yeah, now Marcus Aurelius is in front now. Yeah.
Jake's number 2.
Okay, I thought we were just going to talk about that sex scene the whole time and have some hoot and hollers.
You know, I look forward to the next time we have you guys on.
Absolutely.
Where we can talk about the fun opportunities you guys currently have going on. We can talk about the fully crystallized and realized visions of future projects. Yeah. We've been to premieres with you guys. Your movies are doing what you feel that they can do and you like movies to do and the reason you're even making movies. And it's going to be really cool to sit back down during those times. We'll review y'all's movies.
Yeah, I mean, the moment that one of these things is announced, you know, to come back on here and like just talk through that process.
Absolutely.
I think would be
pretty mind-boggling.
So
it'll be
exciting.
really fun.
Yeah.
It'll be really fun.
Yeah.
Well, guys, we like to do a thing where we write thank you on a piece of paper as we thank the fire and the space. So I'll write it on that.
Like
I've never seen anybody write like that.
You know, I actually had to do like handwriting like special class when I was a kid for a couple years. Obviously, it did not take.
I thought you were going to stand on business about your writing and say this is actually the way you're supposed to do it.
I wanted to ask you guys, so as writers, do you always type or do you sometimes just write with a pencil?
Actually, sometimes I do. Sometimes I do it hand in hand.
Do you ever just break out the old...
But it's always
the old
paper and pen. It's always prose, though, you know? Like, I can't do that film formatting bullshit, you know?
You're writing out the.
I would hate to format a script.
It's not aligned perfectly, so I just restart.
When I first did Pepito, my cinematographer Zach Morrison, shout out. He knew it was my first film as a director, and I was like, yeah. So for the shot list, he goes, yeah. So I think you make one and I make one. We see how they compare. I said, oh,
okay.
All right. And then so I Googled how to line a script, and I printed the pages of the script out, and I was doing that old school traditional
I did that at
lining
school.
of a script.
I did that for every movie I made at school.
Hated that thing. As soon as I did one page, I was like, I don't need to do this.
You have to do it.
I hated that.
Nah, you gotta do it. You gotta lock in.
Well, thank you, Connor.
Thank you, Eman.
Jake, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Journey, we'll thank each other later.
All right, we'll thank each other, BTS, dude.
Yeah. And thank you all for listening.
We'll save it for the Patreon. Hit subscribe. It's not that much. It's once a month.
To watch
me and Journey.
It's just a clip of their
Thank Connor.
Thank you all for listening and keeping your fire and joining us at ours. We will see you next time.
See you next time, gang. Love you.
All right. Nice. That's a good burn.
Jake, final words.
Can we get a 70mm zoom on that?
There you go, dude. There you go.
Did we get that in the 2-shot and the wide?
Is that a 2-shot wide?
Now?
Both
Can we get it in super slow-mo?
Eat my
Well, that was so much fun. Thanks, guys. And thank to all of you guys for
thank y'all
setting it up and being here.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, gang.
You're the real heroes.